got out front, and then I dropped the hammer real quick for a lap and got to like a 30-second gap, and I'm like, well, I'll just cruise. And then I kept getting pit boards saying I kept pulling, and I was like, I don't know how I'm pulling right now because I feel like I'm just like kind of just riding around. And honestly, yeah, I was to ride for 60-70% all day and win by that much. I'm really happy on my riding. Yeah, I'm pumped. I needed to get that bad juju off my back. That's all I got to say. And this one's for Johnny G. I miss you, Johnny. And you got to get back to the races here soon, buddy.
Yeah, it was a good day. Kind of an average start. I thought I was further up than what I was, actually. But Granted got away in the dust, and I couldn't see him. But, yeah, it was a track that you really had to be on it, man. There's some big holes and square edges out there in the dust. You couldn't see them. It was a track you could really ruin a year on, I believe. But not super good day, good points, and we're out of here safely. Yeah, definitely. There was sections out here you could really push and get to the guy in front of you, and there were sections you just had to kind of ride and be patient and hang in there. So good day. Plenty of ponds out there, so at least I didn't find one of them today.
I had a pretty good jump off the start. You know, I was right there, 4th or 5th, and yeah, I could like kind of see the leaders. We were running there in the beginning, but I feel like I put myself in a good spot. I got 3rd or 4th or something, and yeah, I just kind of was struggling to pass a few guys, and I kind of lost my flow and rhythm, and kind of had like a lull there in the middle, and made some mistakes. And Stu and Liam got by me, and then like that just created more dust. So I was just mad at myself because then there was just cruising at times, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't take the risk in the dust anymore, which is what it is. But I pushed as hard as I could and fought, made a few more passes, and then was in 4th on the last lap, and Stu had an issue, so salvaged 3rd again on what I would call as a bad day because I was just didn't feel like I had it. But yeah, it was an okay day for me.
Top 3 in the XC1. Let's hear you get loud and proud for them one time. Your top 3, Grant Davis, Liam Draper, and Ben Kelly. There it is. We are popping bottles up on the XC1 GNCC podium here from the FMF Camp Coker Bullet.
The Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, your AMA National Championship, rolls into Hazard, Kentucky for round number 5. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC for the first time in Kentucky since 2013. Bryson Neil looking to make it 5 for 5 on the 2026 season, but he's got some steep competition as Hunter Hart has been building steam headed into this 5th round, not to mention Wyatt Wilkin, a little bit of the chip on the shoulder coming into this weekend, wants to show that he deserves to be in the conversation, not only to steal a win, but for the overall championship fight. How's it all going to shake out? It's just about time to find out live right here on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 5 of the 2026 GNCC Series. It is the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC. Johnny, not the first time the GNCC's come to Kentucky, but it's been since 2013, 13 years, and we're back here in Hazard County.
Yeah, a new property to us. We have never raced here before. Obviously not the first time to Kentucky, but Kentucky has always been a popular stop on the GNCC Series. don't expect this weekend to be any different, and it is a very interesting race course here. Former strip ground, a lot of rock and a lot of dust leading into the day today is going to give us some very interesting race conditions for sure.
It's funny that you say that. I've talked to about 3 different riders so far today, and interesting has been the word everyone said. I think it's catching some people off guard, not quite what people have been expecting, but it's certainly going to make for some great racing. But before we get to round 5, we got to take a look back at round number 4, Camp Coker. We take a look at our specialized race recap. Johnny, once again, Bryson Neil executing when he needs to most. What can we say about the number 1 at this point?
4 for 4, man. I mean, that's really all we can say at this point. Bryson Neil came into 2026. Admittedly, he said himself, not necessarily prepared. The harsh winter, he was sick quite a bit, but he's come out and he's been firing on all cylinders since round 1, and round 4 was absolutely no different. He got to the front, he marched away for another commanding victory, and he's really just kind of the class of the field here in 2026, but we know there's some other riders that are looking to make a statement. Obviously, we did see Hunter Hart put on a great performance, the best ride that we have seen from him so far in 2026 without question, leading the first 2 laps after a very popular hole shot, and really showing some signs of what he's capable of here in 2026. And then Wyatt Wilkin rounding out that podium, which has him sitting in 2nd place in the overall points coming into the race today.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are your 3 big heavy hitters. Now, John Glotto Jr. is still sitting there in the 3rd place spot in points. Had a couple of rounds just outside the top 5, wanting to get that momentum changed around. But you talk about those big 3, Bryson Neil, Wyatt Wilkin, and Hunter Hart. I think those are the guys we're going to start to see the focus shift to throughout the season, and they know it as well. You take a look at Bryson Neil, it's that quiet confidence that we've seen leading to the multi-time champ now. He's not the guy that feels like he needs to prove anything, and we even heard Walker Fowler talking about it in the Racer TV studio. He's just got all the little details down. I mean, he looks like a NASCAR pit crew when he goes into these pit stops. It is just the little details that seem to be adding tenths here, seconds there, and win after win after win. Now, Hunter Hart, to your point, he is locked in. A great performance there at round 4, and he is focused on trying to bring the fight to Bryson Neil. So focused, he turned down an interview prior to this race, says, I'll do the interview on the podium after the race tomorrow. But no doubt about it, this guy wants to get to that number 1 step, as does Wyatt Wilkin. It's the big question on everyone's mind. 2nd place is great, consistency is great, but if you're not able to put Bryson Neil behind you, what's it really worth?
Absolutely, Zach. And, you know, to the point of what you're talking about, coming into the race today, obviously we know the entire field here in the ATV XC1 class is chasing Bryson Neil, figuratively and literally. He's perfect on the season. He's got 4 wins. And honestly, he's done it every which way. He's led him wire to wire. He's come from the back. He's just proven that he is the class of the field. And what's it going to take to stop Bryson Neil? No one knows right now, but we're going to find out here in just a few minutes if anybody has it today. Coming into today, though, we did have a chance to catch up with our defending champion and perfect on the season so far, Bryson Neil, to get his thoughts on a lot of what's been going on here in 2026 and how the season has been going for him.
Just keep this train rolling. Just keep the same game plan. I ain't trying to change nothing. Try to get good starts, take care of my equipment, build a good race bike in the shop. Got all the tools from our great sponsors to do so. So just try to be smart out there. Try to get through the mud races coming up in this spring, and just take care of the bike in general. So we're sitting in a really good spot. I think we got a 31-point lead after 4 rounds. So just try to maintain that.
Well, there you have it. Bryson Neil as confident as ever, and it's that quiet confidence. He's not walking around, you know, arrogant, really trying to brag about it. He's just consistently stacking race after race with that ultimate goal of another championship. Now, on the flip side of things, if you got a champ, you got to have a challenger, and right now, Wyatt Wilkin wants to be the main challenger for Bryson Neil. We were able to catch up with Wyatt Wilkin a little earlier this weekend as well, trying to figure out what he's going to have to do to close that gap to bring the fight to Bryson Neil.
And man, Bryson's he's dang near flawless. I mean, everything's working for him, his fitness, his program, his mentality. He's a champ, and, you know, it's taken a bunch of us just to keep taking little jabs and try to figure out what he's doing different than us, and right now I think it's just time. Just figure him out, follow him through, and then there might be weekends where we beat him, and, you know, it's just, I think just little time, little bit at little bit.
All right, well, there you have it. A little bit of attitude there from Wyatt Wilkin. You can tell he wants to be in the conversation, and he very much is, but he is chomping at the bit to grab that first win of 2026 and to put himself in the mix to fight for this championship. And it seems like he has the mindset to get there to be able to do it here very soon.
Well, and one of the exciting things we talk about, new locations at GNCC, is the whiteboard's got to be wiped clean, right? No preseason prep that you can get for this. No notes from last year as far as bike setup goes. So a lot of interest coming into this round. Let's learn a little bit more about what we've got in store here for the Dukes as we send things down to Jacksonboro and our trail boss, Jared Bolton, for a course description.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm with the trail boss, Jared Bolton. Jared, as GNCC makes this long-awaited return to Kentucky, what can we expect this weekend?
Brand new facility. We're starting with a blank slate. This is a riding park, but we've actually kind of gone in and made a bunch of our own stuff. What's pretty unique here, this is an old strip mine, so the elevation change is absolutely huge. They basically came in here and just scraped the top of this mountain off as far back through here as you can see. What that does for us is actually gives us a blank slate to come in and create a bunch of new stuff. They've got some awesome trails here for side-by-sides and ATVs, but that doesn't always make a great racetrack. So what we've done is we've come through and we've made a whole new trail system, kind of zigzags around the top side of this property and save some steep stuff for those pro bikes later in the weekend. I've called this the most West Coast, East Coast race I've ever seen. It definitely has kind of a more West Coast vibe, but it still gets into some tighter, twisty stuff like we're used to here on the East Coast. We did find some woods here and there. It's not all scrub brush. There's some good trees out there in places, and that'll slow you down, kind of get you more to like a traditional GNCC speed that we're used to. And of course, we're in Kentucky. We're in the mountains. There's going to be some rock. Absolutely going to be some rock, but it's not a full-blown rock race like you'd see at Snowshoe or even when we were over in Beckley. This will be a pretty unique opportunity for us, do something a little bit different, and got some great support from Knott County, Kentucky here putting this thing together. It's going to be an awesome weekend.
Well, there we have it, guys. I'm going to let Jared get back to it, and I'm going to head down to the starting line. Back up to you.
All right, there you have it. Now you've had a chance to see exactly what these riders are going to be facing out here on this completely new racetrack. Yes, there's trails. You can see that from the Yamaha Racing Track review, but it is a brand new racetrack for these guys. Nobody's seen it. They had a chance to bike it, but we're going to see how it all unfolds here in just a couple minutes. But first, we're going to throw it down to our man Jackson Burrell on the starting line for the 10-second calls before we get all the action live to you on Racer TV.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVNC.com. Get ready.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, everybody, we are just about ready to set things off here in beautiful Knott County, Kentucky. Don't forget, for everybody on site with us here this weekend, going to be having our EPW Stasic Racing coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, and then our chapel service at 7. Want to welcome everybody watching on Racer TV. And it is just about time to introduce to you your row number 1, your XC1 Open Pro class. These are just some good old boys, never meaning no harm, but I can guarantee you they're going to be putting a hurting on this facility here today. And without any further ado, let's introduce to you your starting row, your XC1 Pro class. Rolling to the line first, aboard the big number 1 machine, the Phoenix Racing Yamaha from Bidwell, Ohio,
Say hello to Bryson Neil. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 5 machine. From Hillsboro, Ohio, on the Stewart Boys Racing, Kenda and Pierce Performance backed Yamaha machine. Say hello to Wyatt Welkin. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 712. Woo, man, how about that for you? From Waxhaw, North Carolina, on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha Action Off-Road and Pierce Performance backed ride, John Glotta Jr. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the 318, making his way all the way from Newfield, New York, on the HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech backed ride, Hunter Hart. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 908. From Elk Ridge, Maryland, on the B&R Motorsports Kenda and Fearless backed ride, Stephen Harrell. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 7 machine, making his way from Acme, Pennsylvania, on the Action Off-Road Maxxis and Lone Star Racing backed ride, say hello to Jay Shatteron. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the number 3 Merritt Racing B&R Motorsports and GBC back drive from Akron, Ohio. Let's welcome Josh Merritt. Rolling to the line next, he's been hot here lately aboard that number 15 machine from Walker, West Virginia, the Stewart Event Racing, Maxxis, and Moose Racing backed ride. It's Brandon Owens. And rolling to the line next on his farewell season, aboard the 521 with the 2-stroke Smoke Lion from Waverly, West Virginia, on the Over Moose Racing Parts Unlimited Lone Star backed Honda machine. Let's hear it for Adam McGill. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 9 machine from Sunbury, Pennsylvania, on the Action Off-Road, Amsoil, and CB Racing backed ride. Let's hear it for Chris Borich. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 8. He makes his way from Casca, Pennsylvania, on the JMR GBC Elka and Moose Racing backed ride. There it is. Let's hear it for Jared McClure. And last but certainly not least, aboard the 171 Phoenix Racing Yamaha from Salisbury, North Carolina. Let's hear it for Grayson Eller. And that, my friends, will be your starting lineup here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC, as we are just about ready to set things off now. And this is when DJ Judd will hop into the R-Max 1000. He throws on the gold helmet and gets it fired up. Say it with me, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As Roscoe would say, we are about to be in hot pursuit, everybody. The maestro, Ricky Towery, has made his way down into turn number 1. And we're gonna go as Ricky goes here today. When Ricky throws the blue flag in the air, that will mean shut him down. When he sticks that left arm out, that will signify to our riders 10 seconds until the green flag flies. Here we go, Ricky says. Here we go. He scans down through the line to make sure our riders on row number 1 are ready to go. And Ricky takes a look down at the watch as things start to get serious. And there it is, everybody. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. And before we get rolling, Kentucky, I've got to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC racing? That's pretty good, but GNCC makes its return back to Kentucky after 13 long years. I'm going to ask you one more time, are you ready to go GNCC racing? In 10 seconds for row number 1, your XC1 Pro. The green flag flies. Who's it going to be into turn number 1? And a good drive from Jay Shadron. Is he going to be able to hold on to it wheel to wheel with Hunter Hart? That one was too close to call. It looks like Hunter Hart going to get the job done on the 318 machine. Here we go, row number 2, your XC2 Pro-Am class. Blue flag waves, shut them down. And they're ready to roll in 10 seconds for Keaton Henderson, Talon Stout, Kenny Schick, David Machisco, Damon Grisham, Dalton Keys, Andrew Minoski, Danik Paquin, Trevor Furby, Braxton Gross, Elijah Edmonds, Jeremiah Wolf, David Witt. Who's it gonna be? The 1, 2, 3 gonna get the job done. That is Dalton Keys, the Indiana boy, with a whole shot in the early lead. Here we go, row number 3, blue flag wave, shut them down. College A class set to roll in 10 seconds for Baird Childers, Trip Marino, Evan Bridgewater, Ryan Willem, Cameron Mulholland, Zay Kyle, Cole Owens, Garrett Rhodes, Keegan Chio, Trip Alexo, Cooper Krug, Cole Brandt, and a ton more. Who's it gonna be? The 709 machine looked to have had it, but it was wheel to wheel. That's Andrew Smallwood on the 709. One rider down in turn number 1. They're gonna get that clean and clear here for row number 4. Brief hold on the line, brief hold on the line. Here for our Junior A 20 plus. And guys, they're saying to tuck to that inside and take it easy through turn number 1. Blue flag wave, shut them down. And here we go, Junior A 20 plus in 10 seconds for Aiden Jones, Evan Lowmiller, Josh Axtell, Garrison Poe, Michael Worth, Colton Casco, Caden Lambruno, Gavin Mann, Tyler Coulter, Slayton Collins, Austin Brocher. Who's it gonna be? That is the 285 machine of Caden Lambruno getting the job done. Gavin Temple, Dominic Stevens, Wesley Wirtz, Seth Wilson, Chance Hickey, Christian Meyer, all in this one. Here we go with our next row. Up one rider late to the line here. Gonna let him get rolling. Bet A 28 plus in 10 seconds. Sweep up the inside here. Jeremy Ladon, Alan Blavo, Simon Moore, and Cade Vanderpool, Alex Elioff, Brett Ploger, Dayson Como, Tyler Griffith, Cody Benton. Who's it gonna be? That is the 317 of Alex Elioff getting the job done. Cody Benton in this one, Christopher Kirby, Cody Wolford, Zach Bothwell, Tanner Walker as well. Here we go with our next row. Blue flag waves here for Senior A 40 plus. We're ready to roll in 10 seconds. Up, hold on the line, guys. Hold on the line. Man, it is a dusty one here today in Kentucky. And how about that? Our rider that was down in turn number 1, gonna get that machine fired back up. Love to see it. Here we go in 10 seconds. And green flag flies for Dirk Desari, Jeff Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, Dustin Hendershot, and Fred Marley all headed into turn number 2. Who's it going to be? The 902 of Fred Marley, the Indiana man, going to get the job done. Vet B 28 plus, blue flag waves. And ready to roll in 10 seconds for Tyler Miller, Jack Smith, Barry Nicholson, Sean Metz, Clint Watson, Kyle Patton, Tyler Wares, Mike Harrison, Joe Rutherford, and Levi Wilcox. Around the outside, is it going to be enough? It is not. From the inside, it looks to be in the 82 machine, the Ohio native of Tyler Miller with the whole shot in the early lead. Here we go, blue flag waves for row number 8. Your College Bees 16 to 18. Headed into turn number 1 in 10 seconds. Brady Shepard, John Hancock, Corbin Hill, Cooper Kasler, Brandon Tawney, Colton Moran, Connor Humphreys, Ethan Bridgewater, Austin Harshbarger, Eli Edgar, Wyatt Bohm, Branson Pennell, Ethan Barber. Who's it gonna be? Man, that one was too close to call. Bumping and banging through turn number 2. Austin Wilson, Grady Hurst, Jasper Schaefer, and Seth Ferguson also in this one, as well as a couple more. Here we go, blue flag waves for Junior B, row number 9. And they're ready to roll in 10 seconds for Tristan Howell, Caden Washmeyer, Coy Teeter, Matthew Hammer, Ryan Beebe, Ryson Richards, Scott Lewis, Joey Stewart, Adam Saffel, and Dylan Bothwell. Who's it gonna be through the strike? The 128, I do believe, on the helmet. That is Caden Wishmeyer. The Indiana man gets the job done. Here we go, row number 10, our Senior B 40 plus. Set to take to the track in 10 seconds. For Aaron Delancey, Josh Howell, Nicholas Ringer, Ricky Lewis, Denny Carson, Luke Bender, Robert Perry, Jeffrey Kuhn, Dustin Barger, Bobby McCauley, and Craig Slews. Who's it gonna be? The 406 machines, who it's gonna be. That is Luke Bender from Ohio getting the job done. And that will do us. The starting line is clean and clear. We're gonna throw it back over to the Racer TV truck. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with more action here from Kentucky.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
I know, but I'm not telling.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 5 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC here from Knott County, Kentucky. And we are officially off and rolling for our PM ATV race. Little dry, a little dusty, a little bit of a wind going across the property, but man, it has been a fantastic day of racing so far. And of course, things just getting started for arguably the main event of the day, our PM ATV race, 2 hours of battle, getting ready to take off. But before we get to that, let's show you how things got kicked off with our specialized start recap. Going to start things off with our XC1 Pro Class. Dusty conditions like this, we know it is so crucial to be up towards the front. This man on your screen, the Bidwell Bullet, undefeated so far this season, but meanwhile, the headlights of Jay Shadron, Hunter Hart, Wyatt Wilkin, and the rest of the field are eager to try to take him down. It was a drag race headed into turn number 1. Jay Shadron with the light shining up the inside, wheel to wheel. I think maybe a Nobby separating himself and Hunter Hart. Still yet to hear who officially got considered the Whole Shot Award winner. And I believe that was Jared McClure sneaking around the outside up to that number 2 spot. But it was a wheel to wheel battle at the front between Hart and Shadron for that whole shot, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely, and the start's ever so important today. You can see all those guys just bumping and grinding, and then a big XC2 row. Unbelievable that most of these guys got through without any major. We see Braxton Gross, that is your series points leader, and Danik Paquin, visiting rider from, but it looks like it was the 1, 2, 3 of Dalton Keys out front with that XC2 whole shot. Man, a whole bunch of riders there. Again, just bumping and grinding. We know it's going to be dusty. We know these guys are just chomping at the bit to get to the front, and right there is why. That dust starts kicking up, limited visibility for sure.
Certainly going to be tough. Yeah, Keys right there with Elijah Edmondson, who's gotten the majority of those XC2 whole shots so far this season. But we take a look at our Yamaha Racing live drone. We do have some word from race control. We're actually going to bring in one of our trail bosses, Jared Bolton, to explain a penalty that's going to be given out to one of our XC1 riders following that start. Jared, kind of break it down what the infraction was, who it was by, and what that penalty is going to be.
Unfortunately, Josh Merritt did hit the start button a little early prior to the green flag. So Josh is going to get a 15-second penalty at the end of the first lap here. That's a bummer today with the dust. But Josh is, he's an excellent rider. I'm sure he'll make up plenty of time. But, we did clarify this rule further this year. It's kind of rewritten for 2026 to specify that any operation of the starter does count as an early start. So even though he just hit the button and it didn't start, it still counts as a 15-second penalty.
Jared, as we watch our leader, Jay Shadron, out front here at the mile marker number 6, you can see how much dust he's making. Bringing it back to that point of just how important these guys knew this start was here today. Everybody was just full focus, laser focused, and itchy on that trigger finger with the start button. Just for clarity, you mentioned the 15-second penalty. What we saw just 3 weeks ago with Mike Rakowski on Sunday in the XC1 class, he actually started the machine, and then when the flag dropped, he took off essentially got the whole shot. He was penalized differently. Do you want to explain the difference there?
Yeah, that was a little bit different. And there was some question about that afterwards as well. It looked like that he totally jumped the start. Now, if you totally jump the start, that's a 1 lap penalty. What had actually happened, Mike started, it fired, and as he was shutting back down, Ricky threw the flag. Well, that was only a 30-second penalty. Now, for Mike, that actually kind of worked out in his favor in a way. And it's something, these rules are ever evolving. Definitely something that we've, talked about maybe changing up a little bit. You could potentially see for next year that those penalties could be a little more significant.
All right, well, thank you for the clarification on that, Jared Bolton, one of our track bosses out there. And obviously that explains what we saw. You didn't see it because he didn't get the whole shot, but he was up in the front there. Josh will be held at the completion of lap number 1 is the plan?
Correct, yep. Yeah. So he'll come in. Jeremy Holbert will be there to administer the penalty and just hold him for 15 seconds. And, Jeremy will have his watch, keep an eye on it, and as soon as that 15 seconds is up, Josh is back on track, good to go.
All right, there you go, folks. You heard it right from the horse's mouth. That we will see here on camera in just a few miles. 6 miles into this one, we're looking back. Looks like we do have some of our XC2 riders now starting to come through. And there is Grayson Eller. Looks like John. No, this is still XC1. That's John Glauda Jr. So the Phoenix Racing Yamaha teammates. Bryson Neil a little further up the trail, I believe, but those are his 2 teammates there. And man, Zach, we're going to sound a bit like a broken record today, but man, the absolute chaos of the dust. Looks like our XC2 leader on screen. Looks like that might be the number 27 of Kenny Schick. Just behind him appears to be Logan Steele in the number 2 spot. So not sure what happened with Dalton Keys, our early race leader. There's the 341 of Jeremiah Wolf. There is the number on the machine is 69. That is, I believe it's the 512 of Lane McCormick. Yep. Is its registered number. Coming through, we got the 142 of Andrew Banoski, again, getting a great shot of our XC2 here. I got some more riders coming through. There is your points leader, Braxton Gross, tied up in that first turn. Already able to make a whole bunch of passes. Looks like Keaton Henderson. Some more riders coming through. Kind of hard to see the numbers there. But man, these guys, you can see, now our camera can't even see what's going on. So this is really the challenge here today is we know those starts so important, but now that the race is underway, you got to make do with what you got. If you got that good start, by all means, take advantage of it. If you didn't, you have to manage that race. There is Jared McClure. I believe he was in our number 2 spot at the 6-mile marker behind number 7 of Jay Shedron. There is Hunter Hart in the 3 spot, and here comes the rest. Things started to get a lot closer together as we work back through. There's the 5 of Wyatt Wilkin, and this is what you're seeing if you're racing here today. Not a whole lot, and a whole lot of obstacles out there. The big number 1 of Bryson Neil looking to stay perfect here in 2026. 4 wins in the first 4 races, and he's got his work cut out for him. And there is the 3 of Merritt just behind him. We know he is staring down the barrel of a 15-second penalty here in about another 4 miles of racing.
And to your point, Johnny, talking to a lot of the riders, a brand new location, a lot of question marks coming into the weekend as far as the way the facility was going to break down, what the terrain was going to look like, as well as what the weather was going to do as we take a look at Jay Shadron, your leader on the Yamaha Racing Live Drone. But after talking to a couple of riders, cycling some, between the dry nature, the dust, as well as the rocks, some of them comparing it to snowshoe of last year, which was arguably one of the driest snowshoes we've seen in several years. But these rocks, I know Jackson and myself both were walking around throughout the morning races today up some of these steep hillsides, and it's not just all of the rocks you see speckled across the top, but it's these big boulders underneath that are fully capable of picking the rear end up. We saw, I believe it was Caden Wharf earlier today,
him blow 3 or 4 corners, and he has clear vision, Zach. So it's a big difference. It just goes to show the emotion when the adrenaline gets flowing. He's leading a race. We've seen him do this, but it's been a little while, and the emotion, kind of the enthusiasm. He's just cooking it so hard in the corners, trying to make dust, trying to make time, that we've seen him overcook several corners. But hopefully he can settle into a pace, because we would absolutely love to see a great race out of Jay Shadron here today. A kid out of Pennsylvania, not strange conditions for him. Rocky, dusty, kind of used to that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was doing a little scrolling on the Racer TV chat prior to things getting started, and there was a lot of Jay Shadron talk. So the fans know that Jay Shad's been building steadily throughout the season, and they know that he is more than capable of getting the job done here today. But we've got a very special guest with us here inside the Racer TV truck, Senator Brandon Smith here. Senator, it's the first time in 13 years that we've been able to come racing here in Kentucky, and it is so great to be back with us. And we're going to get you on camera here in the Racer TV studio. Let everybody know that we've got all the stars coming out to join us here at Racer TV. What is it like to have GNCC back in Kentucky?
Well, it's exciting. And for us, as you look out for our economy, this place was a strip mine. They came in and took the coal out of it, and you can see they put back, and they did some reforestation projects on it. And we've had elk, but this is a whole different breed for us because the people we see outside of your trailer right now are dollars that are new to us. These are all new faces coming in. It's not that recycled dollar that we've seen in so many places where I buy Girl Scout cookies from your kid, you sponsor mine. These are all new dollars coming in to us here, and so that's what's very, very exciting about what we're watching here. And as you see the riders, they look like they're really enjoying it. So it's a way to make money for the state of Kentucky and give these guys a very unique experience.
Yeah, it's funny. I was hanging out at the restaurant right across the street from my hotel and was talking to them. I'm like, have you guys been super busy with the ATV and motorcycle race going on? And she's like, is that what's going on? Because all of a sudden we've got these weights that I wasn't expecting. We've been absolutely slam-packed. So we often talk about GNCC and how lucky we feel to be able to come race at these locations. But you're saying that it also is a great way to give back to that local community and help stimulate that economy.
Yeah, without a doubt. As we were walking through the different pits today and talking to people, they were telling us that they were staying in Whitesburg. They told us where they went to go eat, the rooms they've got, people that are doing Airbnb. And then these are dollars that came in here that we did not have before. And a lot of small communities like ours, it's a recycled dollar. And this is something totally different for us. And I'd like to ask the revenue department to actually capture what's happening here this month and see how big that gap is going to be, because I think it's going to be substantial for our businesses for them to want to invest and see this year after year after year.
Now, Senator Smith, you talked about we've gone from elk and wild horses to wild horsepower out here this weekend. What are your initial thoughts of GNCC racing?
Well, I got to tell you, I run around with some pretty wild guys. I've got Eric Hubbard, a dear friend of mine, and Scott Smith, who I'll claim Kim to him. And they're part of the organizations that put this together. And so we all ride. We do the Colorado 500 and we travel. It's so exciting for us to take a sport we love and see it here. And you're seeing people respond to that. And I kind of feel like people forgot how much we're still a frontier state until these two gentlemen stepped up and started saying, hey, look, we have something that's unique in the United States. We have it all. We have every terrain possible, from swamps to mountaintops to low pines, everything you want to in one area. And so these guys brought this home. So today's a win, really, for these two gentlemen.
Well, Senator, it's certainly been a fantastic stay, folks, so far. And we really appreciate the embracing from the local community, from yourself as well. And hopefully this is a long-lasting relationship of keeping GNCC here in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I'll wrap with one thing. We noticed coming out of the whole shot this morning, just a few minutes ago, actually, how they were bunching up. And we had an accident, which is part of what we do here. I want to really brag on how quickly the EMTs responded to that, and how the care was taken. The rider was actually released and got back on and took off. And don't think this is just a guy event. There are women also riding in this event. It's very, very exciting. So if you're really into family stuff, this is the event for you. Now, tomorrow's going to be super exciting for us. We want to see these guys get out there and take off. So there's a little bit of everything out here. We certainly appreciate you guys having us on.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. We're actually going to have our Women's Pro winner from today come in the studio in just a little bit. But, Senator, thanks for hanging out with us. I know you're eager to get out and watch some racing up close and personal and eat a little bit of that dust yourself, right?
There you go. Amen, guys.
Well, thank you so much. Once again, that is Senator Brandon Smith here from the state of Kentucky joining us in the Racer TV booth. And we truly appreciate all that the Knott County, everybody here in Kentucky has really just welcomed us back with open arms, Johnny. It's so crazy to talk about. It was 2013 the last time that we were here. I don't even know I was in high school yet. And meanwhile, we've got a lot of the same names in the top 5 from back then still racing with us here today on both the 4-wheel and 2-wheel side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Kentucky's always been a state that has embraced GNCC racing in general, obviously a very motorsports friendly state, and for Knott County and this facility to embrace GNCC racing, we look forward to, as you said, Zach, hopefully a relationship that lasts for many years to come. We can see on screen here Hunter Hart looking like he's trying to track down Jared McClure for the number 2 spot. He definitely has made up some ground, but now he's in that danger zone. He's in the dust as Jared's kicking that dust up, really battling the visibility.
And even hearing on Racer TV's chat, sounds like he was a mutter back in 2013. So a little different scenarios here today, but nonetheless, and we've got the dust, and yes, the dust certainly going to be a talking point for the day, but we've also got a pretty consistent wind blowing through the area, kind of up here on top, and so yes, the dust is there, but at least it does kind of start to float away within the following few seconds. But when you're in a situation like this where you're right off the rear wheel of a rider, there's pretty much nothing you can do but grit through it.
No, you have to go through it. And, you know, I think we're going to see a little bit different kind of approach here from Jared McClure. Obviously missed the first couple of rounds in 2026, kind of been rotting himself into shape. But these conditions today really lend themselves to being out front. The fact that he has clear track out of Jay Shadron, obviously a bit further up the trail. As we look at our live timing and scoring, about 33 seconds was the gap that Shadron had. Now we see, looks like Hunter Hart, they're coming through. You can see our sweep riders. They're getting the intel and feeding it back to us, setting up camera shots, all that kind of fun stuff. But as this battle bunches up, McClure, a rider who's kind of known, and I mean this as a compliment, he kind of feeds off other riders. And a lot of times he'll let a rider pass to kind of latch onto that pace to pull him up through, especially, again, has not been campaigning the whole season. I think today I'm not going to be shocked if he gives Hunter the pass. I think he's going to make him work a little bit harder for it because he knows how important that visibility is. And right now, he is sitting in an excellent position to just keep making dust and making things hard for Hunter Hart. You can see right there, Hunter comes out absolute face full of dust. But Hunter, on the shoe on the other foot, he knows exactly what's going on here and knows that if he can get close enough to McClure, he needs to strike immediately if he gets a section of trail where he's able to see, and we can see he is now, in fact, right to the rear wheels of Jared.
Well, we've talked about that sense of urgency throughout the entire 2026 season, but this a little different of a scenario because Bryson Neil back in the 5th place spot, not the start that the number 1 was hoping for, and not quite been able to work his way up as quickly as we've seen in some of the other rounds where he hasn't been up in that 1st or 2nd place position. So we've often said a small chink in the armor might be all it takes for somebody like a Hunter Hart, a Wyatt Wilkin, or even a Jay Shadron to be able to capitalize. Shadron already 30-plus seconds out in front. Meanwhile, B. Neal still back in the 5th place spot when they came across the stripe.
So real quick, want to update here. We had said maybe we lost Dalton Keys. No, that was Keys that I saw when I said I think that's an XC2 rider. He was already around Galata. He was already around Eller and up into 7th place overall on corrected time. And just as I improperly predicted, Jared McClure, sensing the pressure from Hart and potentially wanting to try to key off that pace, knowing he just didn't quite have the pace of Hart, he actually gave the line there. Hunter able to make the pass, take over that number 2 spot. McClure sitting solidly still in a podium position there in the number 3 spot. But if you talk about intensity, look at how quickly already Hunter Hart is opening up that gap and trying to track down Jay Shadron out front of him. When we speak of Jay Shadron, you know, let's throw this back to Mountaineer last year and Josh Merritt getting that whole shot, getting out front, making dust, and really never having a challenge all day long. You know, a few times we saw riders get close to him, but as soon as they would, he'd put them back in the dust. A little bit different scenario here. It is very dusty, no question. We can see some moisture in that section, but we can see that it is not nearly as dusty. Also, not thick woods and a lot of wind, as you so astutely pointed out, and that plays a big factor here because the dust is moving, so you can actually get close to someone to try to make a pass. Where we saw in West Virginia at the Mountaineer, down those valleys, the dust would just hang at an absolute stop. And it would just build and build as more riders came through. There is McClure just behind him. Now it is the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkins sitting in the number 4 spot, trying to battle himself into a podium position. And then just behind him should be the big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet. Perfect on the season so far. We can't say it enough, folks. There we saw, I think that was kind of a nod in, almost a lock in, on the charge in the number 5 spot and working his way up towards the leaders.
So Bryson Neil on the charge forward. Looks like we're jumping back on board with Hunter Hart, that Yamaha Racing live drone. And Hunter, you know, he's a little bit more of a lighthearted guy. He's always smiling, you know, in our interviews. But this weekend he means business. And I'm not saying that he hasn't meant business all season long, but I think Hunter knows he's in a pivotal point for the season. I believe sitting in the 4th place spot in points, if I'm not mistaken. And he knows he's got to start making some strides up. Yeah, he's currently sitting at 67 points, but he's coming off of a 2nd place finish. That momentum is there. The motivation is there. And Hunter, he's maybe not doing a lock-in, but he's locked in right now.
Well, Hunter, not only the 2nd place performance that we saw 3 weeks ago, but getting the whole shot, leading so much of that race, and riding strong throughout. That was definitely the best version of Hunter Hart that we've seen in 2026. And he spoke in the post-race interviews about how this is what he needs. He needs to get going. If he wants to try to battle Bryson Neil for this championship, it needs to start today. Well, this is round number 5 of a 13-round series. We are nearing the halfway point. and he needs to start making up those points. Right now in great position to do so, sitting in the number 2 spot with Bryson Neil back in 5th. That is a big points gain on the day if things finish the way they do.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. At this point, it's not about getting settled in. It's not about seeing where the cards lie to start the season. We're getting into that mid-chunk of the season where, hey, you need to kind of have some things figured out, and if you're not where you want to be, now is when you've got to start executing. The pressure begins right now, and Hunter Hart clearly feeling that right now. The sense of urgency is there, and he's trying to track down 33 seconds back up to Jay Shadron, try to battle for this win. Meanwhile, back there behind him, one of his other title contenders currently sitting in the number 2 spot, Wyatt Wilkin in points. Number 4 on the, 4 on the track. Wilkin not going to do anything to let Neil get by either. He knows he wants to stay in front of the number 1, and that's kind of been the big thing he's been talking about all season long is how do I get in front of Bryson if I'm not already, and if I'm there, how do I stay there?
Well, he talked about it, and he manifested it into reality as he sits there in that number 3 or 4 spot, working on trying to get around McClure for 3rd. But a couple things to point out here. You know, we talk about Bryson Neil and how perfect he's been so far through the early stages of 2026. Here we see Josh Merritt on screen, has been assessed that 15-second penalty. According to our running order, still in the number 6 spot. Looks like he was about 7 seconds behind Bryson Neil. Don't know if that, it looked like they were planning on stopping him before scoring, but I think the actual transponder scoring loop was right where they stopped him, so he most likely scored and then was penalized, so that may be not quite accurate. We'll see. Here is Stephen Harrell on screen. But Bryson Neil, I'm a little shocked so far seeing him sitting in that number 5 spot where he's been since our first camera shot that we saw him, and he isn't really right on the rear wheels of Wilkin, so not showing a lot of urgency. Some of that comes with maturity, though, and he basically is knowing he's in a good spot points-wise, not going to take any unnecessary chances to try to make things happen, but I think we'll see him continue to pick away at it as things continue on throughout the length of this 2-hour race. Still watching Hunter Hart. We talked about trying to track down Jay Shadron. I can tell you on screen, the pace he's riding, he is going to be starting to make up some time on Jay Shadron, if I had to guess.
Well, I tell you what, we can sit here and speculate all day long. Let's talk to a lady who's been there and done that. We've got our WXC Pro winner from earlier today, Chloe Harper. Chloe, welcome to the Racer TV truck. Tell us a little bit about your race so far today.
Oh, I loved it. It was so enjoyable. I love the fast dust and being able to keep that fast pace the whole race long. So the rocks didn't really bother me. I just I physically enjoyed it, so I thought the fast pace with the dust mixed all together just worked really well for me. We got into a little bit of a scuffle right before the finish on the last lap, but we were able to pull it out for the win today.
I was going to say, we saw a little bit of contact up against you. Thankfully, that wasn't you going flying, but nonetheless, still probably felt that impact there from turn 1. But you were one of the only riders that I've heard all day long on the podium say, I like these dusty conditions. And we talk a lot about with the mud and the mentality of mud. Would you say the same principle applies for the dust? You got to kind of come into it with a positive atmosphere?
Oh, for sure. You have to be positive on everything that you do and every race that you race. You just hope that you get a good start, and if not, you just got to put your head down and hope for the best as the race goes on.
So, Chloe, looking at the way today unfolded, you know, obviously you were quick off the trigger and you were able to get that start. How much, obviously, a race is never easy, and certainly one like this weekend. Very challenging course, very challenging conditions. Do you feel that the start was really a big benefit for you to be able to get out front making dust rather than having to eat it and make those passes?
Yeah, it was so important for a whole shot today because you never knew what the track was going to develop into. So being one of the first people into the track, being able to find the line or make the line and just try not to make a mistake, but also get through the 4x4 pros was just one of the biggest things out there, because they can also make or break your race because they can throw rocks just as easy as they can go over them.
And we've heard feedback from yesterday when people were out pedaling the track and also the early races today. Didn't get a chance to speak with you yet after the race, but a lot of people talking about if you get even just slightly off the race line, there's a lot of treacherous rocks and things that can just jump up and bite you. Any close calls today, or were you able to kind of keep things on track all day?
On the last lap, there was a close call right before the finish. I had almost a 2-minute lead, and there was a guy in the middle of the track, and then there was another person on the side of it where I had to go down and around and just like leveled out my four-wheeler on top of a rock, and I just couldn't get it off for the life of me, and was doing everything I possibly could, and with barely any time left to spare, just come around the turn, and I just made it up just barely right in front of her. So,
well, it just goes to show this course very challenging out here today. Not, I wouldn't say not a traditional, but not what we've seen so far here in 2026. This course definitely a lot more open. They refer to kind of the woods as scrub because you can see through a lot of it, but it definitely looks like it's a fun track and can carry a lot of speed. Anybody you want to thank for making things happen for you to get that win here today and everything that's been going on with you winning that championship in 2025 as well?
Obviously, I want to thank God and my mom and my dad and my whole family for coming. I want to thank the Fraser family and my boyfriend Brandon. Osborne Off-Road helped me last year, so I want to thank them for my championship last year. But this year, I am sponsored by Matt Pierce and Pierce Performance, Moose Off-Road, Parts Unlimited, JSM, Axis, Lone Star, Renthal, just a whole bunch of people has built my program with me and my family, and was just able to keep trucking along this year and continuing on from last year to this year. Hopefully, we're going to do it again.
There it is. Now, last question for you, Chloe. Are you thinking of the swag that you throw out on the podium? I feel like every time I see you got a different thing. It's a koozie, it's a beach ball. It seems like you guys enjoy that just as much as the racing.
Yeah, I love it. My mom helps me out with so much of it because my mom does pro graphics. She is able to design whatever, and she makes it come to life. She just looks at something and is like, oh, this would be so cool for the kids. And so she gets it. She puts our stickers, our logos, and all of it on it, and it just makes for a great time to be able to watch those kids be super happy and super excited to get something of me or Brandon's off the podium.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They certainly enjoy it. Well, Chloe, thanks for hanging out with us. I know you and Brandon are both eager to get out there and pick a spot to watch the action, but we appreciate you making some time for us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. All right, that's Chloe Harper, your WXC winner from round 5 here at the Dukes. And I'm telling you what, Johnny, I think Dalton Keys is taking a note out of Chloe Harper's book. She was able to cut through that 4x4 pro class. He's doing the same thing with the XC1 class. He's all the way up into that top 7. He's got just about 5 or 6 XC1 riders between himself and his next closest competitor in class.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalton Keys on rails right now, was quick off the line, getting to that first turn first, and he is, again, the one we talk about it so much today, making the dust. You can see there, right there, Hunter Hart, and it looks like this. Wyatt Wilkin has now made his way into that number 3 spot. He has gotten around Jared McClure. We'll wait and see if Bryson Neil has been able to close up that gap on McClure as well, or if it is still the number 8 of McClure in that number 4 spot. We see, no, it is Neil. Neil has gotten around Jared McClure, now up to the number 4 spot and trying to make ground on the number 5 of Wilkin in front of him. Bryson Neil now starting to really find his pace, show a sense of urgency. And here he is back to our leader out front. The headlights. Doesn't need them today. It's a bright, sunshiny day. But don't want to jinx anything, but we could almost use it. We are told we are maybe only 20, 30 minutes away from some storms rolling in, potentially bringing some rain. So maybe those headlights will come into play, give them a little better vision once we start getting this track water.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Like we said, it's super entertaining, super exciting to be back in Kentucky. You know Mother Nature doesn't want to miss it. So we'll see whether or not the weather rolls in throughout the course of this 2-hour-long race. But, man, things certainly being certainly interesting right now. I don't think a ton of people would have predicted this is the way it would have started off. We welcome Jackson Burrell back into the Racer TV booth. Jackson, I saw it in the AM race. You had plenty of the action in the PM race. The start, the first 2 to 3 turns, absolute chaos in some of those classes.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody knows how crucial it is once you get into dusty conditions like this. Shadron, he had a good jump off the start there, not quite able to get the actual jump, but nonetheless, he had a good start to it. Hunter Hart, I know you were questioning that earlier. He did get credited with it. I saw some of the officials down there. They let me know it was the 318 machine that was able to get that whole shot, so he's going to have a little bit of cash headed his way. I'm sure that's going to help out, but nonetheless, how about Jay Shadron right now, guys?
Yeah, we've had so many storylines going on, and obviously having Chloe in the booth and the senator as well. Haven't been able to exactly see the gap yet, but it looks like, so far at least, Shadron has stabilized it. You know, we saw that Hunter Hart was able to really, really close up that gap very quickly on Jared McClure, but right now, Shadron's still holding the lead out front there.
No doubt about it. Well, here it is, folks. The first time in 13 years, the dust is flying, the announcers are smiling, and we're back GNCC racing here in Kentucky. Jay Shadron getting the start and making the most of it as he is 33 seconds last time we saw out front. Hunter Hart making the move for that number 2 spot with Wyatt Wilkin now sliding into the number 3 ride and trying to track him down. We'll have more on the 2 of those riders later. Meanwhile, perfect so far on the 2026 season, 4 for 4, sitting back in the 4th place spot. Bryson Neil needs to get to work. We're going to find out how it all shakes up live here on Racer TV when we come back from a quick commercial break.
everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Knott County, Kentucky, the site of the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Dukes GNCC. Good to be back. GNCC Racing in Kentucky as we jump back to our Yamaha Racing live drone. Taking a look at your leader, Jay Shadron, out front leading the way, battling it out. Sounds like he just came up short of that hole shot. It looked like Jackson and myself racing at Talladega, man. I mean, it was just a fingertip apart. But Hunter Hart going to get the hole shot award. But for right now, Jay Shadron in the spot you want to be in, out front leading the way, especially in dry, dusty conditions like we've got for the moment. Shadron putting the hurt on him right now.
Absolutely, you know, and while we have Jay on camera, I mean, let's give this guy a little more love. Obviously, we love talking about our leaders. We love talking about cool stories, but we've been talking about this one for a couple of years. I mean, Jay Shadron, a top rider for many years, stepped away from the sport, came back to the sport a few years back, and has had some, frankly, horrific injuries that, you know, very easily could have been career-ending. And to see him back, we've already seen him on the podium. You know, we've seen him battle for wins several times throughout last season. To see him up front and leading again, it just shows, you know, the spirit of GNCC racing. Never say die, never give up. This guy loves GNCC racing, was a youth rider many years ago, came up through the ranks, and here he is again, leading and potentially staring down the barrel of an overall win here in some very tough conditions. And we'll leave it to him to tell his story, but when we say what could have been career-ending injuries, also life-altering.
Yeah, life-altering.
You know, it just crazy accidents both on and off the track have happened with Jay, but he just loves the sport, keeps coming back, and here he is leading the best in the world out there right now. 2 laps complete, out front, leading the way. Such a great story.
And just such a positive guy as well. Anytime you see him cycling around the pits, I know his wife as well out there racing. She grabbed a whole shot, maybe even a win earlier today. I didn't see how they finished up, but certainly a ton of fun to be around and just a good atmosphere and attitude to have here at GNCC. He checks in for another lap in the books, but look at this. Hunter Hart has closed up. Johnny, what are we looking at?
13 seconds. So Hunter Hart able to get around Jared McClure and make up 20 seconds on that lap of racing, and he's bringing Wyatt Wilkin with him. Wyatt Wilkin sitting only 9 seconds behind Hunter Hart. And man, there's quite a story between these two. They're battling on the track, and not maybe between these two, but involving these two, we'll say. You know, these guys, obviously, everybody kind of wants their moment in the sun. They work so hard. And coming into this round of racing, we did a little feature on Instagram and on some social media there featuring Hunter Hart, talking about, you know, how hard he's working, things coming together. And it was actually a clip of us talking about him on Racer TV, getting so close to battling Bryson Neil for those wins. And I think Wyatt Wilkin maybe had a little something to say about it. What do you think, Zach?
He said something without saying anything at all. Just left a little comment, I'll just stay quiet, I believe was what he said. And to Wyatt's point, you know, these guys, I think, have a lot of respect for one another. You see them shake hands. I get to listen to them between the interviews, both after the race as well as on the podiums. They really do have a ton of respect for one another. But just like you said, Johnny, as a racer yourself, you know, at the end of the day, they want to beat each other. This is war, as we like to say, and those two guys are on opposite sides. So I think Wyatt Wilkin currently sitting second in points to Hunter Hart sitting fourth in points, but Hunter getting second in that last round. So we were able to actually catch up with Wyatt a little bit earlier this weekend and just talk a little bit about whether or not that's a bit of added motivation headed into the Dukes.
For people who don't know, there was a post that got put up about somebody else taking down Bryson. Normally I'm pretty easygoing on that kind of stuff, but that one definitely fueled me up. I was like, you know, I've been on the podium 3 of the 4 rounds, and even if it's not me, I think whoever's in second place should have got that post. And it was nothing towards Hunter or anything like that. It was just, yeah, that one fired me up. It made my workouts a lot easier these past couple weeks, and I'm amped up to go.
And I see nothing wrong with that. I think this is what competition in sports are all about, right? At the end of the day, everybody wants to be in that #1 spot. And whether it's Jay Shadron, whether it's Wyatt Wilkin, Hunter Hart, Josh Merritt, so many of these riders that we know have the speed. John Glada grabbing a podium earlier this season. We've got a deep field, which means there's a lot of people fighting for a very limited number of spots. And I think I kind of understand where Wyatt's coming from. He feels like he's in that #2 spot in points. He's been super consistent throughout the season, on the podium 3 of the 4 rounds. Maybe felt like that little spotlight session should have gone to him. But at the end of the day, I don't think these guys are sworn enemies or anything like that. But yeah, maybe Levi Cohen able to get a little extra out of WW this week in the gym.
Well, you know, and sometimes it really comes down to, as you pointed out, just kind of finding that fuel, finding that energy to just really get every little bit out of yourself. Bryson Neil, they're charging now. It looks like he's still about the same gap behind Wyatt Wilkin. Don't know if that's a function of the dust and the limited visibility, or again, you know, Bryson in a great position in the points, probably not wanting to take any unnecessary risks, especially early on in this one. We've seen him do this before, where he kind of settles into a pace and lets the race come to him. But yeah, I mean, Wyatt's normally, he's one of the chillest guys at the racetrack, not just in the XC1 class. And that was, to be honest with you, when I saw his response, I kind of wasn't sure how to take it, because Wyatt's normally a guy that really doesn't get fired up about that kind of stuff. He's just a ho-hum, I'm just happy to be racing my 4. This is a guy, you know, we've talked a few years ago when we invited him to help with the GNCC University at Snowshoe that Yamaha puts on every year. And then he came and helped the last 2 years at the summer camp, Blue Crew summer camp as well. And he said, man, to get this opportunity, I was a young kid, you know, racing, just following this, wasn't a big name, wasn't winning races, wasn't winning championships, just loved GNCC. So I kind of like what I'm seeing from him, a little bit of swagger, a little bit of intensity. This guy has the skills. We know he works hard. We know he has the speed. He has a great program with that Stewart Brothers Racing and Action Off-Road, Matt Pierce wrenching kind of stuff. He's got a great trainer in Levi Cohen. Maybe it's just that edge, because he always seems so nonchalant. Will this be the day that we see Wyatt Wilkin really kind of dig his heels in and track down this man right here? But right now, Hunter Hart is honestly the man on the move. He's tracking down our leader, Jay Shadron. So, again, as you pointed out, nothing between these two. They would shake hands off the track. They'll race each other clean. But this is very hard. You have to get every bit out of yourself, not only on the racetrack for 2 hours, but during the weeks in between to prepare yourself. And, you know, it seems that Wyatt found a little extra motivation there.
No doubt about it. Did just get word from Race Control. We are looking at a 5-lap race here for this afternoon's pro race as we see them tiptoeing their way down.
That's not 13 seconds.
No, not at all.
And Wyatt Wilkin coming with them. So the battle for the podium positions is heating up, and just behind them we will see Bryson Neil in the #4 spot. Little shout out to, looking at a running order, Alex Elioff That is the husband of our former multi-time WXC champion, Jessica Elioff, who finished second today. Her husband out there leading the Vet A class, I believe it is. Yep, Vet A 20 plus and 19th overall. So a great run for him. There is Neil, and again, I believe maybe seeing a little bit of conservative riding out of Neil, but I'm surprised, as clear as the trail is in front of him, that he's not making up more ground, but a lot of racing left here today.
Yeah, and going back to the point that you talked about Wyatt and Hunter, Hunter already kind of established in the XC1 class.
Shark 7.
Yep, Shark 7. I think he actually missed that bottle. I'm not sure if he was able to get it. But I think it's interesting. Hunter, coming into my first season with GNCC, Hunter and Cole and Bryson were the guys. They were trading wins out. And then I got to experience Wyatt Wilkins' first win with him, his first podium with him, and kind of that shock. I don't even know what to say, the disbelief, if you will. And I've watched that go away with every podium since then. Not because it means anything less, but because he knows, hey, you do the math. You add up the work during the week, the time, the effort, it leads to podiums. So to your point, I think it's a mentality shift for Wyatt Wilkins, starting to see himself on that same level.
Wyatt is making up some serious ground on Hunter Hart right now. I noticed how thick the dust was, man. He is literally riding right up to the rear wheels. We saw him miss that bottle handoff, Shark 7. He's an internet personality. That is Wyatt's dad. And he's given us many wonderful sound bites here on Racer TV. But, man, Wyatt is just on the charge right now. Missed that bottle handoff. For him, he'll have to hope that that doesn't loom large later in the race, because what I'm seeing, I don't see a water pack on Wyatt anywhere. And a lot of times we'll see guys that they'll really rely on those hydration bottles they'll pick up along the trail from their crew. Hunter Hart, you can see, has a water pack on. Jay Shadron as well. So Wyatt Wilkin, hopefully he's got enough hydration and was on top of that this week, because that could potentially play a part later in this race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the dry and dusty conditions not going to make things any easier as far as controlling the thirst. But that was one of the many question marks coming into the weekend about this race. And we were able to catch up with the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkin and talk to him a little bit more about what the preparation's like coming into this, as we see the top 3 really starting to tighten up.
Being in Kentucky, I was really excited. I was like, man, this is going to be something different. Like, I don't know, like rocks, hills, creeks, that kind of stuff is what I expected. And then they posted the track map, and I was like, man, this is a lot different than what I was anticipating this to be. It's a lot of fields, a lot of roads, and a lot of rocks. So it's going to be dusty. I think hole shot's going to be really, really big for this race, and get out front and dust them out, I guess.
So there we see everybody kind of got the same plan: get out front, smack into the dust, and make it hard for everybody else. There we see Josh Merritt already served that 15-second penalty, checks in the number 5 spot. Still a solid run for Merritt, able to kind of put that 15 seconds behind him. Now clean and clear, just able to focus head on what he needs to do.
Yep, absolutely charging. And sorry for that little moment from me, but did you see the front end of Hunter Hart's machine? We saw him lose some time there. It looked like nothing major, but I'm guessing, so the plastic was nearly falling off and the front bumper was smashed flat against the frame as he was coming at that hit and camera shot, showing me that he made contact with something out on the trail, and that may be part of what we're seeing with him seeming, he's still right there in the number 2 spot, but it seemed like all of a sudden Wyatt made up a whole bunch of time, and you can see some very large Volkswagen-sized boulders on the side of the track here. Now it looks like actually Hart has stretched it back. Oh, nope, there he is. So just a section where the wind is just enough. Wyatt Wilkin continues to track him down. Hunter Hart looking like he's back up to speed, but there was definitely a significant gain by Wilkin there, potentially, possibly, because of that setback that Hunter Hart had bending up the front end of that machine.
Yeah, that was a good spot there, Johnny. I didn't notice that at all. I thought you were just talking about him getting kicked sideways or catch a little bit of airtime down that hill. But to your point, and we heard this from multiple riders, Brendan Fraser, even our 4x4 Pro winner earlier today, said there was a stump or a rock right in the middle of the trail. For some reason, I didn't see it. Dust from a lap rider. He said, I smacked into that thing, and I just suddenly stopped. There was no moving it whatsoever. So we can't stress enough the variance as far as the size of these rocks and stumps that these riders are dealing with. Not to mention hearing a lot of route talk as well. It's a brand new location, something we maybe experience a bit more as we're carving these trails up for the first time. The routes really starting to get exposed.
And we see a lot of established trails from our drone view here, from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. But GNCC crew did a great job, the track crew. These are all fresh trails that they've gone out and actually cut to keep off of the faster sections, to try to limit the dust, to also kind of just make a tighter, more technical racetrack. But at the same time, as you pointed out, when that ground hasn't had an opportunity to get churned up, rained on, and just kind of packed in, it really does get chewed up that much quicker. And we're seeing a lot of that with the roots and the rocks. Thought that might have been Hunter Hart there, but that was a lapped rider there sitting off to the side of the trail. We're following Wyatt Wilkin right now from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. Just ahead of him there is Hunter Hart. And I got to tell you, we've had some great camera shots here. Just further up the trail is the number 7 of Jay Shadron, continuing to lead this one, now well into lap number 3 of what we are told is scheduled to be a 5-lap race.
And to your point, we've talked about Shadron as far as rebuilding his program up. He's fit. He's able to take this thing all the way down to the wire. And especially, I think a comfortable Jay Shadron is a dangerous one. He's not under any immediate pressure. Not that he can't handle it, but really seems like Jay able to find a bit of a flow. He's wanting to pick he's able to pick the lines that he wants to, not having to worry about somebody right off of his rear bumper. And it seems to be working for him, as yes, he's lost a little bit of time. You see him right there at the top of the screen, but he's still able to manage things up at the front of the field.
Well, he lost that time, but now he's kind of stabilized. Seems like maybe right around that 10-second-ish mark. And now, suddenly, it's Wyatt Wilkin that is the rider that's making up the time. And it's not seconds and seconds, it's inches and feet. He's getting ever so closer to the rear wheels of Hart, but Hunter Hart putting up one heck of a fight and is not going to give that position up easily. He's still in pursuit of the lead, wanting to get out front, knowing that if he can get clear track, clear vision, that he may be able to run away and hide with this one. And we're still waiting for the Bidwell Bullet to kind of engage himself in this podium battle, sitting back in that number 4 spot.
Well, and I don't know about you, Johnny and Jackson, either one of you, but I kind of expected maybe a 15, 20 minute settle in, then start picking things off, trying to pick some seconds up. But as we're 55 minutes into this race, Jackson, Bryson not in a bad spot by any means, but I'm a little surprised he's not moved forward more than he has.
Yeah, we're getting into go time for the Bidwell Bullet. If he's going to fire off, it's going to have to be fairly soon. And Zach, this is what I talked about a little bit off camera earlier today. It's going to take a perfect storm, in my opinion, to beat a guy like Bryson Neil and get that winning streak to come to a close. This could be the perfect storm that we have right here. Bryson Neil starting back in the pack, having all the dust that we're dealing with today, and then possibly even some weather rolling in here in a few minutes. This could be what the rest of our riders like Shadron, Hart, and Wilkin are looking for.
Yeah, I think it's just like we've talked about. It's a mix of other riders doing the right thing and Bryson maybe having some things not quite go his way. We do have a shot right here. Is that Shadron trying to get around a lap rider there? That rider did a good job of trying to get out of the way, and it's kind of hard to tell from the live drone how steep of a climb that really is. I know I'm still trying to catch my breath from climbing that mountain earlier today, Jackson. It is surprisingly steep in some of these spots on this course, and then surprisingly flat in others.
Yeah, no doubt. That's all of Kentucky in this area that we're in. It is so steep. It's just constant rolling hills, one after another, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It is very, very steep. The drone definitely doesn't do it justice, and I don't think the drone's doing a lot of justice on how much dust is getting stirred up out there either.
Yeah, it's definitely dusty, and I will say it seems like the dust has calmed down a bit. Part of that, we know, very windy out there right now. We potentially do have a storm front rolling in from all sources of information that we have, but also the pack has gotten a little more thinned out. Obviously, off the start, you've got all of the riders in every class together, and then you start mixing the classes together as they make passes. So much more dust. We saw Jay Shadron with a big gap on lap number 1. And right now it's starting to tighten up. And there you can see that front end damage I was talking about with Hunter Hart. That front bumper barely hanging on, the plastic bouncing around, and he is still maintaining a great pace there, though, in the number 2 spot.
Just saw the trainer of the Stars, Levi Cohen, making his way past the Racer TV trailer, getting ready to pick his next spot out to support his riders. And
what a great shot.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And this does give you a pretty good idea as far as the slopes that these riders are dealing with, carving their way back up. Meanwhile, checking back in now with the Bidwell Bullet, got some hydration dangling underneath the helmet as Neil trying to chip away at time for the moment, not even quite close enough to be able to actually start showing wheels and making passes.
Speaking of showing wheels and making passes, Hunter Hart suddenly right to the rear wheels of Jay Shadron.
Yeah, gotta wonder whether or not something happened there. Is Hart gonna try a wide line around, doing a great job of not following? Doesn't quite work out for him, but that is Hunter Hart chasing down Jay Shadron for the lead.
Oh, that was a great line Jay Shadron had there up that off camera.
Looked like Hunter Hart refusing a water bottle there, so that tells me that he is on the move.
Well, and that might be one of those little benefits, like you talked about, Johnny, of the hydration pack. Maybe not drinking out of it the whole time, but if he's in the heat of battle, doesn't quite want to reach up and sacrifice something possibly going wrong. He's got that hydration pack. The next time he feels comfortable, he can reach down and grab it.
Well, and you explained it perfectly there. Heated battle. Right now, he's been working for well over a lap now, approaching 2 laps, trying to close up this gap to Shadron, and he's finally done it, and at a very opportune time, because now they are into lapped riders. This is the first we've really seen of multiple lapped riders at the same time, so this could definitely play a factor here. Oh, look at this. We see Shadron missing that line, and that is the pass for the lead. Shadron following that lapped rider around, Hunter seeing that inside line and making the pass. We have a new leader on screen. It is the 318 of Hunter Hart, has worked his way from back in that number 3 spot, now out front leading the way with Jay Shadron in tow.
A real chess move there from Hunter Hart. He saw the opportunity and executed that just about perfect.
So here we go, but now the shoe's on the other foot as Hunter Hart rolling up behind some lap riders, does a great job of checking up and taking that inside line there, but we'll see whether or not that continues to play a role. There are some more open fielder type sections where you can move around a little bit. You got to be hesitant about some of these rocks that you can't quite see, but other spots, man, really can cost you big time. As Shadron,
that's dust. So for us, he's hitting the brakes there. That's how much you can't see down at ground level. We're above it, so we can see what's in front of him. He can't because there's a wall of dust in front of him. That was a great graphic there showing. I could see the confusion on your face. No, that's just when you're down at ground level and that dust is coming at you. Imagine a brick wall coming at you that you don't know what's on the other side of it. Yes, you bike the track. Yes, you think you know what's there, but when you can't see, the human reaction is to just, okay, let me check up until I can see where I'm going. And now we've seen what was just a few bike lengths open up to quite a few seconds, and now look at this. Wyatt Wilkin is now closing up the gap and is almost to the rear wheels of Jay Shadron for that number 2 spot.
And we hear it all the time, guys, about how risky the dust is for these riders, and that could very well be going into Bryson Neil, like you kind of alluded to earlier, Johnny, of why we don't see the big charges, as now we have another battle on our hands. Wyatt Wilkin, he doesn't look like he's scared of the dust right now, as he is on the rear wheels of Shadron.
Wilkin possibly still fueled by that post that GNCC put up talking about Hunter Hart being the first one to dethrone Bryson Neil here in 2026, and he wants to be that guy, but to do so he's going to need to get around Jay Shadron or have both of them close up the gap to Hunter Hart, as Hart starting to march away after making the pass on Shadron just a few corners ago.
Hey guys, I can't help but to think that Hunter Hart probably seeing those comments himself, so maybe a little bit of fuel in his tank.
That was Wyatt taking an alternate line there, and the main line that Jay Shadron took definitely faster in that situation, so advantage Shadron, but Wyatt Wilkin straight back to work and continuing to try to close up that gap. A little further up the trail for those just joining us at home, it is the 318 of Hunter Hart. That was a great line from Wilkin there, straightening out those chicanes and just carrying so much speed, but again, now back into the dust, and you can see Wilkin not letting off in the dust. He knows Jay Shadron's right ahead of him. He knows it's a clear trail, and he's just staying on the gas even when he can't see.
So Wilkin on the charge. Meanwhile, Hunter Hart trying to sneak away as he overtakes that lead. Wilkin doing a great job of flirting to the left and to the right, trying to find a way around, and also just trying to find some breathing air around the dust getting kicked up.
There's another factor here as well. Jay Shadron being out front has had clear vision the entirety of this race so far until he was just passed by Hart. Wyatt is kind of already accustomed and adapted to not being able to see, and that is definitely a factor there. It's one of those things where when you're used to it, you can kind of just ride yourself into it. Jay is kind of trying to adapt on the fly to not being able to see what's in front of him, and Wyatt Wilkin is just thinking, this is old hat, man. I've done this. I've got the opportunity to make the pass, and looking very aggressive. And you can see he's not only trying to get closer to Shadron, he's going left, he's going right, he's darting all over the trail, trying to find any open running room to make that pass for the number 2 spot.
Well, and I think there's no question. I think Wilkin's got more pace at the moment. I think he's got a little more speed, and I think Shadron knows that, but he also knows, hey, I can ride a wide quad. I can try to figure out what he's doing, try to regroup and use this dust to my advantage. Just look at this.
Hunter Hart off track, trying to get back on track here at the 9-mile marker, looking like he blew through some Shadron as well. So obviously the course is blocked there, but Wilkin able to make his way around whatever the issue was on the track there. Looked like it might have been possibly a lapped rider that was stalled out in that corner. Hunter Hart having to go around. Now, I won't speak definitively, but to me that looked like a legit move from both to me, not a rules official, to me as a racer, it looked like something was blocking the trail there, or the dust carried them through that banner. There you see right there, it is a lapped rider. So they went ahead, went off of the trail and got back on at the very first available spot. Obviously, the rules officials will look at that, but Wyatt Wilkin able to just go on the outside of that berm and make the pass. Here we see it coming in. Now we see Jay Shadron here as they're coming up. Wyatt Wilkin trying to make that pass, and then we'll see if we have the shot of Hunter Hart. Oh, there you go. There's Hart coming back on the trail. And there you see Shadron going out around, and Wilkin able to kind of sneak between that rider and that tree as those riders were moving as well. Opened up a gap, he shot through it and was able to take over the number 2 spot.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure Shadron could have seen that line was there as thick as the dust was. Even from overhead, you could see that. So a big benefit for Wyatt Wilkin. Not only does he pick up the number 2 ride, but he basically has some time handed to him, as that is Hunter Hart that just popped out a screen at the top of your screen, and he is now stuck behind a lapped rider. Things are tightening up between Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin at the front of this field.
And you can see the awareness of that lapped rider, not realizing that the next bike coming behind him is in fact the second place rider, and just behind him is third of Jay Shadron. So Wilkin works his way around, but that rider, seeing the lead rider pass, did not realize there was more coming behind him. That so often happens. Lapped riders can be your best friend or your worst enemy. It just depends on how. There you can see another lapped rider pulling off the track for Hunter Hart, even though Wyatt Wilkin only maybe just a few seconds behind at most. That rider pulling back in. Now he's having to negotiate that lapped rider and the dust that he's creating and losing time.
And he's getting ready to head down the hill. This is right before the finish line. Not a ton of passing opportunities there as Hunter Hart gets ready to check in and put another lap in the books. We'll see where Wyatt Wilkin slots in, as he has gotten around that lapped rider and is on the charge, no doubt about it. Taking a look at the top of the screen, I think I saw a little glance back from Hunter Hart as well. He knows who's trying to chase him down.
Yeah, and you can see they have now opened up a bit of a gap over Jay Shadron. As we look at our live time in scoring, 3.6 seconds is the gap between Hart and Wilkin, then another 7.2 seconds back to Jay Shadron. So still in the fight, but definitely has lost a little bit of ground just through that section of track and also that exchange with those lapped riders. You can see this lapped rider saying, no, I don't think he's by himself. I hear a freight train rolling, and Wyatt Wilkin is just absolutely pushing the pace. Look at, not letting it off at all through. Oh, there we see, he finally does check up. But he appears to me right now to have a bit more pace than Hunter Hart. But Hunter doing an absolutely wonderful job of just running his lines and making the dust and making it very hard for Wilkin to try to get close enough to even attempt a pass.
That was a huckabuck if I've ever seen one right there. Wilkin went for a ride. I could almost hear the panic rev from here. That was impressive as Wilkin on the charge, no doubt about it. He's fired up now, and this is what it comes down to. 2-lap card is out, 1 hour, 5 minutes into this 2-hour-long race.
Folks, something has awoken in Bryson Neil in the number 4 spot, only 4 seconds behind Jay Shadron. So all of that melee that we witnessed on screen with the lapped riders and going off the track and everything that our top 3 were experiencing, and Bryson Neil is capitalizing and riding himself back up into the fight for the lead. And look at the lap times. That shows it right there.
So Bryson Neil, a 21 flat, a 21.12 for Hart. Meanwhile, 6 seconds faster was Wyatt Wilkin than Hart. And, man, some close lap times. I mean, Brandon Owens, a 21.10, Merritt, a 21.16. These guys are all within 5 to 10 seconds of each other. Meanwhile, Neil has dropped the hammer. It's time to go because at the end of the day, he at least wants to be on the podium. Maybe not quite willing to risk it for the win here today, depending on how these conditions shape up. But, man, you got to think Bryson Neil at least wants to keep it on the box.
For sure, wanting to put it on the box, maximize his points for the day, and continue to extend or at least maintain that points lead that he now has, which is a quite healthy one at that. See, again, a different line from Wyatt Wilkin, just kind of trying to find some clean running room. But I tell you what, I think the tale of the next few laps of racing here is going to be exactly what we're seeing on screen, lapped riders. They don't know these guys are coming up, and you can see just as on cue, we've got a machine parked on the left, a machine parked on the right, and a lapped rider navigating in between them. And we've got the race for the win coming up behind them. So crazy conditions here right now. And you can see those lapped riders, a part of the story, cheering these guys on. Bryson Neil now essentially to the rear wheels of Jay Shadron.
Here we go, back on board with the Yamaha Racing Live drone. Wyatt Wilkin bringing the fight to Hunter Hart. That lap rider able to just get out of the way. And Hart, he's got to thread the needles with these lap riders, and he knows it as well. If he sees even a slightest opportunity to get around them, looks like he's going for it.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing. Wyatt Wilkin really throwing caution to the wind here. You can see, I mean, back end sliding out over a few berms, but staying on the gas. He's definitely not thinking, and I mean this in a good way, he's not thinking conservative, he's not thinking big picture. He wants to pass, he wants the lead, and he wants to win this race, and he's willing to take the risk to make it happen. and he's been rewarded by getting himself again right to the rear wheels of Hunter Hart, so this one could be a battle for the ages.
Well, and again, I think both of these guys, they want to be the one that takes down Bryson Neil for the first time in 2026. Not just to say they were the ones to do it, but that confidence, right? To be able to say that they battled out, because not only are they currently in front of Bryson Neil, but these are arguably their biggest other competitors for the championship. So there's points to be made far beyond proving something to Bryson Neil. These guys want to battle it out, second and fourth in points at the moment. More than likely going to be second and third, depending on how the points break down following today. But Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin, they're fired up, and they want to show they are in this title fight just like Bryson Neil.
Well, and the fact that Wyatt is willing to just kind of hang right there in the dust cloud of Hunter Hart shows me that you're not going to ride there unless you're intent on trying to make a pass as quickly as you can. So he must have either a spot picked out, or again, he's just going to risk it for the biscuit the whole way around this 10-plus mile track and fight every corner and try to make that pass. Looking back, here's the battle for third. Jay Shadron, our early race leader, still holds on to that number 3 spot, and Bryson Neil now starting to apply some pressure, trying to wrestle that final podium spot away from Shadron. Look at this camera shot here. Is Shadron able to hold on to it through this section at the 2-mile marker? Oh, actually, we're a little further ahead on the trail. That is Hunter Hart, and still with Wyatt Wilkin just behind him there.
You can see Wilkin kind of a sprint at times, and you see him kind of checking up the time as well. Seems very comfortable in the position that he's in. To your point, John, you got to wonder whether or not he's got a spot picked out. Whoa, some big kicks for Bryson Neil. Actually went a little bit off trail there, and just uncharacteristic riding from Bryson Neil. Just seems like
could also be a function of not being able to see. I mean, he's just kind of sending it blindly, and you're like, I think the trail's in this general direction. Look at this, pit stops. Wasn't expecting this so quickly, but this could be huge. Who can get in and out of the pits fast? That was a very quick pit for Hunter Hart, and it looks like Wyatt Wilkin in and out as well. Hunter Hart will maintain that lead, but look at this. If Wilkin isn't quick enough out of the pits, he is gone. So Bryson Neil able to make the pass. Now there's an interesting question. Had Bryson Neil already pitted the previous lap and we missed it, or is he going to have to come in next lap? Because he did not pit as he came through the pits there.
Yeah, this is a great spot there, Johnny. And to your point, I didn't notice any big dropping of time from Neil either, so it's kind of hard to tell what time.
We didn't see a drop, but it was interesting that he didn't seem to make any ground the previous lap. So it is possible that he had a quick pit stop back on the gas, and it kind of leveled itself out in the lap times.
So let's see, trying to refocus in on the front of the field.
And this is going to bunch things up because Neil not pitting, you know, he was only looking at timing and scoring. He was 11 seconds behind Wyatt Wilkin. Wilkin having probably about a 9-second pit stop is what's kind of standard for a decent pit stop. So you can see right there, you know, Bryson Neil now almost to the rear wheels of Wilkin, who is right on the rear wheels of Hart. So now we've got another 3-rider battle for the lead. It's just mixing in the champ.
Three's a party, that's what they tell me, at least, as the Yamaha Live Drones got your top 3 all in one shot. Hunter Hart, Wyatt Wilkin, and Bryson Neil. And speaking of Bryson, you know, we've kind of pumped him up a lot, as deservingly so. I mean, the guy's undefeated so far this season, but like we always say with Bryson, never too high on the highs or lows on the lows. We were able to catch up with the number 1 and talk about keeping the train rolling here in 2026.
Keep this train rolling, just keep the same game plan. I ain't trying to change nothing. Try to get good starts, take care of my equipment, build a good race bike in the shop. Got all the tools from my great sponsors to do so. So just try to be smart out there. Try to get through the mud races coming up in the spring, and just take care of the bike in general. So we're sitting in a really good spot. I think we got a 31-point lead after 4 rounds. So just try to maintain that.
And he's trying to maintain it right now, guys. That last few shots that we've had making his way through the pits, if that is the case and Bryson Neil has pitted, Johnny, that could be the tell of the tape right here and how he's going to keep that train rolling.
Yeah, and we do need to keep that in mind because with 3 laps complete, what we believe will be, we've been told, scheduled to be a 5-lap race, that would mean coming through next time would be a white flag, and then with the pits being after scoring, if Bryson has not pitted, which, man, I mean, to stretch it 4 laps would be... I would almost, based off what I know about fuel consumption on these machines, I couldn't say for certain, but I would guess that he pitted after 2 and then he's going to do 3 at the end versus 3 at the beginning, 2 at the end. That the riders in front of him and also just behind him there with Jay Shadron, they all were on that go 3, pit, finish the last 2. If Bryson's on the alternate strategy, they're all in the same boat. But if Bryson has not pitted, that means he still needs to next lap, and that could loom large with Jay Shadron still not so far behind him. You can see right there how thick that dust is. Bryson Neil coming to a complete stop and assessing where he's at. Again, the drone doesn't fully do justice there. That is a cliff edge, and this is what it looks like from ground level. You don't want to get even just half a quad width off the track, or you'll find yourself down in that brush, and they'll need a tow rig with a winch to get you back up the hill.
I don't know. I didn't see a cliffside there at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw
Funny how that works.
A little bit of frustration there from Bryson, throwing up the hand just a little bit when he got back going, so you can tell it's definitely getting to him.
Yeah, I mean, keeping the train rolling, but right now there you can see Wyatt Wilkin pushing. We talked about that earlier. This ground, it's very dry, so you'd think there's a lot of grip in it, but with that loose kind of clay on top as it gets broken up and all those rocks, when you hit the brakes, a lot of times you'll actually start accelerating. So when you're carrying speed, especially in the dust, and it's harder to judge those distances to the corners to kind of get your braking points, as we call them, you know, it's so easy when you're all hopped up on adrenaline and feeling a wind to just overcook a corner. We saw Jay Shadron do it a number of times there early on, and now Hunter Hart is kind of reaping the benefits of Wyatt Wilkin making a few mistakes and some lapped riders, and you can see that gap has opened up.
Yeah, a little bit of moose tape around the moose gear for Wyatt Wilkin, but he's back and rolling there. And to your point, I did notice that, Jackson, it looked like there was a lap rider just after the exit of that corner, either stopped or stuck. And I know I saw Wilkin and Neil both have to kind of slam on the brakes to get out of the way. Sometimes they try to pull out of the way, and where they pick just isn't the best spot.
Well, and guys, I got to tell you, like, the position that Wyatt Wilkin is in can be exhausting because he's just been on the charge. He's yet to get to the front. He hasn't had that clear air, and he's kind of just one of those things where it's like you fire, reload, and every time that, whether it be a lap rider or a mistake of his own, or Hunter just putting a good section of racetrack together, which we've seen him do a number of times and kind of open that gap up, but now he's going to reap the benefits because that lap rider definitely not getting out of the way of Hunter Hart very quickly, and Wilkin will gain a few bike lengths there, but it can just be exhausting. It's like I'm throwing everything I have at it, and I just can't catch a break. Here we see Wilkin coming, so we'll see if he still continues to have that intensity and that dedication to the cause, trying to grab that win, but also now starting to sense the pressure of the big number one of the Bidwell Bullet behind him.
And I tell you what, we were frustrated looking at that lap rider right there. That is definitely a difficult situation for your leaders to be in. It's tough all the way around.
Jay Shadron still in the number 4 spot and riding very, very well.
Just to continue your point there, that is a tough spot for Wilkin to be in, playing now offense and defense. Going to be about the same gap from Hart up to Hart and then back to Neil, and look at this.
That was close right there for Wyatt Wilkin. He almost connected with them. Oh, look at that line from Bryson Neil.
Wow.
Squaring things up and really making a run. Now he's got the pass.
What a move from Bryson Neil. We'll have to see if we get a replay of that. That was absolutely insane. Talk about getting creative. That's Picasso creative right there. That was an incredible move from Bryson Neil.
That is what I call the Bidwell Bullet firing off.
Wow. That was, and all looked well within 25 feet. You know, it looked absolutely legal, but man, just, and what did you say it was? Scrub when you guys talk about it a little bit lower like that? Take a look, top of your screen. Bryson Neil cuts down once. We're like, wow, he just made all that gap up. How about 2 times this time? Sees through it, goes for it, and Bryson Neil puts the Phoenix Racing Yamaha into the number 2 ride. Wow.
Well, and let me tell you right there, that's commitment.
Yes.
He likely found that line when he was out pedaling, walking, and kind of kept it in his back pocket. But those lines, as good as they are, they don't make passes by themselves. If you just kind of ride the same speed, you'll end up, the rider sees you, they get on the gas, they close the line down. That was a sneak attack right there. Bryson Neil had that line, knew it was coming up, and we saw that intensity. Maybe that was part of the frustration of throwing the hands up of, hey, I've got a spot picked out up here where I can make a pass. Looks like we have Grayson Eller in those Phoenix Racing Yamaha pits. Looks like he is done early, or at least they are working on that machine. So we'll see if that progresses and he's able to get back in the race. But right now, it is his teammate, Bryson Neil, on the charge. We saw him kind of lurking back there in that number 5 spot. Then it was up to 4th. Then he was able to get around Shadron, sitting in 3rd. And we just saw an all-out assault on Wyatt Wilkin. 2 corners in a row with some hidden lines that he had figured out. able to make the pass and take over the number 2 spot.
Man, got to think Wilkin going to be going back on Racer TV going, what did he do? He was not even close to me. And that was really impressive to see. And haven't really seen lines like that. We've seen maybe just getting a foot or two off of the main line from a couple of these riders making passes. But that was a full, like you said, commitment to brand new lines, never ridden on territory.
Well, I'll tell you one, I don't mean to cut you off, Jackson, real quick. Wyatt Wilkin is responding to the charge that Bryson Neil is putting in. You know, Bryson, we've seen so many times put in that intensity and break the riders. You know that's what he's trying to do. He wants to get the Hart in front of him and also break that kind of draft that Wyatt Wilkin has behind him. But Wilkin has responded full-out sprint, and he is staying with Bryson Neil.
That was the exact point that I was going to, the mental fortitude that it's going to take for Wyatt Wilkin to stay in that spot. That's a gut punch to have a rider jump in front of you like that when you've been fighting so hard. We talk about the frustration. And Wyatt Wilkin, he's going to have his mental game there to keep this one pushing.
Well, and to your point, though, you did mention the offense and defense. He's been spending this whole time trying to track down Hunter Hart for the lead. Now, all he's got to do is stay on the rear bumper of Bryson Neil and let Bryson track towards the front. And these guys know who Bryson Neil is. They know Bryson's usually charging towards the front. He's got something figured out. I'm sure Wilkin thinking after that, he's got to have some magic lines. If I can stay close enough to pick up on, maybe I can also bring the fight to Hunter Hart, try to get around him and make this a true 3-rider battle for the lead.
Well, speaking of that 3-rider battle, we got to give a shout out to Hunter Hart right now, because he has the best in the business right now. Bryson Neil behind him, undefeated on the season, our 4-time and defending champion, and arguably the most dominant rider in the series. Not even arguably, the most dominant rider in the series right now on 4 wheels. And Hunter Hart is not giving up any time whatsoever. He is at a full sprint pace out front, potentially learning from leading so much of our race 3 weeks ago at Camp Coker. Bryson Neil able to track him down, and him saying, like, I want to be in the fight, I want to win these races. Well, guess what? Just a few miles up the trail is a white flag. And man, if there's anything that can motivate you, if you're in a good position, you know, 1 lap left, man. I've done this for 4 laps. I've only got to do it 1 more. I just need to hit my marks and charge. And I'm really, really impressed with Hunter Hart right now. We don't even see his dust in front. We know he is up there off in the distance, but Bryson Neil, at least seemingly so far, not making up a significant amount of time, and Wyatt Wilkin hitching a ride. I think they're both wondering, where'd that big 318 go? Because we want to start battling for the lead, but Hunter Hart is just sprinting out front, even having to navigate all those lapped riders.
Well, and I saw in that last ground camera shot, Neil looking far ahead right as Hunter Hart was dipping out of view. So Neil definitely trying to spot forward, see where Hart is at. Like I'm said, sure, getting lap times from pit boards, but at the end of the day, there's something to be said about getting that little visual cues, knowing, hey, I'm starting to track him down. There is Hunter Hart at the top of your screen.
There you go. Now they're starting to make up ground. Interesting to see. Wyatt Wilkin actually took that line that Hunter Hart made the pass on Jay Shadron just a few laps ago, and he used it to get right back to the rear wheels of Bryson Neil. So Bryson had those great lines just a few miles ago, but Wyatt had one in his back pocket as well. So it really can be a chess game out there at a high rate of speed.
No doubt about it. And this is, once again, speaks to the mental side of Wyatt Wilkin, bringing that fight back to Bryson Neil, not giving up, not rolling over. As we take a look here at the FMF PowerPoint, Hunter Hart on that 7-mile mark. There goes the Bidwell bullet with Wyatt Wilkin just behind him. Your top 3 here in the XC1 class.
Guys, we've had so much great coverage here of the Yamaha Racing Live drone and our ground cameras. We've really been following this XC1 battle, but quite a battle heating up in that XC2 class as well. Dalton Keys has actually stretched it out to a 1 minute and 9 second lead over Lane McCormick. So putting that good start he got to use and sitting all the way up, as you see on screen, inside the top 10 overall. But behind him, McCormick and Gross only 6 seconds apart. Again, Gross tied up in that first turn, trying to charge through the pack. Our points leader trying to maximize his points on the day. Always want to give some love to that XC2 class. And then just behind them, Jeremiah Wolf, Talon Stout. We do see James Glauda, that is the brother of John Glauda, Danik Paquin, and Kenny Schick, all inside the top 20 from that XC2 Pro-Am class.
Yeah, big shout out to Brandon Owens as well. He was, I believe, just about dead last coming out of the second corner. Now worked his way up to the 6th place spot out of your XC1 field, putting a few riders behind him. So,
and only 5 seconds behind Josh Merritt.
Yeah, on the charge forward. I feel like every lap I've seen him gain a couple of spots. So, B. Owens on the charge as well.
Now things have shifted.
Yes. Bryson Neil starting to catch up to him, and man, he is coming with some speed now. I like they used to say in the Dukes of Hazzard, he's going to be in more trouble than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
I love it.
There it is.
He really is no joke now, Zach. He really is in some trouble. Hunter Hart going to have to put up a fight now as the Bidwell Bullets right on his heels.
How about it? He's on him like white on rice. As it's Hunter Hart and Bryson Neil, the Bidwell Bullet, locked and loaded, trying to bring the fight to Hunter Hart.
Based on that analogy, I guess that would mean that Hunter Hart is the long-tailed cat,
yes,
and Bryson Neil is a rocking chair, and he is trying to pinch that tail on Hunter Hart. Well, he's gotten to the tail. He's just got to see if he's able to grab a hold of it. But, man, you could see the intensity and the focus out of both of these riders. And let's not slight Wyatt Wilkin. I mean, literally just a few bike lengths behind these guys, eating all that dust. And we have a 3-rider throwdown here as we approach the white flag here at the inaugural Dukes GNCC in Hazard, Kentucky. What a battle we're seeing.
Yeah, I bet Bryson Neil sounds like Roscoe from the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm in hot pursuit.
Well, they just keep on coming.
I'm about to say, man, watched the whole season last night.
Hey, they're from my neck of the woods.
There you go.
I would love to see whether it be Hunter Hart, Bryson Neil, Wyatt Wilkin, anyone, just do one of those, Dukes of Hazzard style jumps and jump through a section of woods or jump across a big ditch to make the pass. That would just make the Dukes all that we could have ever asked for and more here for the inaugural round.
They've got the General Lee horn and everything here on site, so we can throw down like the best of them. It's not the Duke boys, it's the boys at the Dukes here going to it.
Hunter Hart look over his shoulder, but he knows who's there. At this point, he has realized that is the big blue #1 of Bryson Neil, and Neil really now throwing everything at Hart.
And it's these little abilities to straighten some of these switchbacks out where it seems like Neil's picking tenths up, little bits this and there. Meanwhile, the lap traffic, good timing there as far as when they caught up to him for Hart. We'll see what happens with this rider. Checks up, does a great job there.
Looks like we've lost Wyatt Wilkin from this battle, at least for the moment. He has given up some ground, whether that be lapped riders or just the intense pace that these two riders up front are laying down. We don't expect that he's too far behind, but he's no longer in these drone shots, so he's given up a little bit of ground there in the #3 spot.
Man, just like you said, he's been breathing hard and breathing in a ton of dust all race long, so got to wonder whether Wilkin, even something like just getting caught up in the back of your throat, coughing up, it can water the eyes up, make it really hard to focus forward. So we'll see if Wilkin can regroup here in the tail end of this race. And like we said, still got another lap to go, and still hearing that maybe some weather going to be rolling in here. We'll see whether or not that peaks out.
We are told, DJ Judd, our official spotter, telling us that it is actually sprinkling outside right now. It's not been enough to hold the dust down just yet, but it sounds like the rain is inbound, and that could definitely be a factor here as we get much closer now to what will be a white flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery and one more lap of racing here at the inaugural Dukes GNCC here in Hazard, Kentucky. This one has been one for the ages so far, and it's only going to get better from here, guys.
As the Duke boys would say, we've got ourselves a situation.
I love it. Well, we've got a situation right now, and the situation is the battle for the lead on screen. Hunter Hart coming down the hill, 2 more chicanes, and he will be coming through. White flag waving. He has the lead. Bryson Neil has charged his way from a mid-pack start up to the #2 spot, looking to stay perfect in 2026 with what would be 5 wins. But to make that happen, he's going to have to make the pass on the 318 of Hunter Hart. Another look over from Hart. He knows who's there, but he's just letting Bryson know that he knows he's there, and he is fighting for all he's worth right now to try to maintain that lead.
Well, and I tell you what, we've talked about both Hunter and Wyatt regarding that social media situation. May not have left a comment, but I can't help but believe Bryson Neil might have seen that clip as well and said, you can put whoever you want on the video. I know what I'm capable of. And Bryson trying to shut all the rumors down right now.
And boys, I can see some raindrops here from our Yamaha Racing live drone, just a couple. So sure enough, we might have some weather rolling in here.
You pointed out, Zach, I mean, Bryson really doing a great job, not only of finding some clean running room and straightening things out, but we call this staggering the dust. When the dust is blowing left, you move to the right. When it's blowing to the right, you move left. And Bryson is doing a masterful job of that, trying to keep clear vision and give himself an opportunity to battle. And
man.
What did Duke boys say about that one, Jackson?
We got ourselves a situation.
That's hot pursuit if I've ever seen it. Bryson Neil and Hunter Hart going at it.
I really hope we're able to keep this Yamaha Racing live drone up in the air despite what is starting to be some rain falling, because they are giving us some great shots here. Hunter Hart leading, Bryson Neil in the number 2 spot, as they have now checked in 5 seconds back. Wyatt Wilkin, look at this, Jay Shadron hanging tough in that number 4 spot, only 14 seconds behind Wilkin. Josh Merritt is also checked in 45 seconds back, and now Brandon Owens 1 second behind Josh Merritt. So we don't see that battle on screen, but it is raging out on the race course. Brandon Owens is pushing for all he's worth, trying to wrestle that number 5 spot away from Josh Merritt. Josh Merritt still continued trying to make up ground, but with 45 seconds to go to make it to Jay Shadron, he's in more of a running defense position. And Shadron's still in the mix for a podium here, only 14 seconds behind Wyatt Wilkins. So big shout out to the rider who led the early stages of this one after getting out front a few corners into this and held off Hunter Hart, held off Bryson Neil, held off Wyatt Wilkin for quite some time, hanging back there in a solid 4th place position, still in contention for a podium here today.
Yeah, and shout out to Hunter Hart. He has opened that back up a couple of bike lanes. It's a true yo-yo back and forth. Neil not quite able to just reel it back in all the way, but I can't help but wonder, I don't know what mile marker it was, but that move that he put on Wyatt,
we're coming up to it.
I was about to say, we've got to be getting close, and you got to wonder whether or not Neil's kind of regrouping, resetting, going to charge, get as close as he knows he needs to. Could we see 2 passes in the same spot 2 laps in a row?
We are getting much closer to that section of racetrack here. As you can see, some moisture in the woods here. Must have been some rain here a few years ago.
Hunter Hart continuing to take some looks over. As the weather tries to roll in, he is trying to roll out, doing a good job right now, able to put a few more bike links between him.
And hearing that that move on Wyatt was made just around the 5 mile mark or so. So just like Johnny said, we're getting within about 3 or 4 miles from it.
Hunter Hart now making some dust, making it harder for Bryson Neil to see. We did see from that last camera shot, Wyatt Wilkin is still lurking back there about 5 to 7 seconds behind. So lapped riders, any miscue from either of these riders, and we could see Wyatt Wilkin back up in the mix here in this battle for the win. But right now it is these two on screen throwing everything they have at it. And Hunter Hart's composure to me right now, very impressive. I mean, everyone knows Bryson Neil is on top of his game. Not going to be surprised if he's able to make the pass, but at the same time, Hunter Hart is absolutely making him work for it and is not going to give it up without a fight, and that is impressive to see.
Could this be it, Johnny? Starting to close in now, and he knows that he's got something under his sleeve. I guarantee you, Bryson Neil going to be will to will with him just about.
And this is just kind of like what we saw a lap ago, staying within a bike length or so. Bryson Neil biding his time. Look, he's going to cut underneath. Another creative line, and there it is. Grown man moves, as Mikey Waynes like to say, from Bryson Neil. Cock it, load it. Bidwell bullet just fired off once again.
Yeah, you saw him setting that up in that open section just before that. He swung out wide, had that inside line picked out. Hunter Hart was in the preferred race line. Bryson Neil making that inside line work, squaring it up, and just taking the line away from Hunter Hart. And you can't blame Hunter for not letting off there. Nope. He was in the lead. They made contact. Bryson pushed him over the berm, made the pass, and Hunter looking like he's not going to give up the fight. He is going to chase after the Bidwell bullet and try to regain that #1 spot.
And so fired up right now. We got a replay coming on screen. Watch this. Neil sets it up slideways, tucks to the inside. Going to peek up the inside. Hart not checking up at all. Boom, there's the contact, but Neil already had half of the quad or so just in front. And Hunter Hart going to get off and rolling. So it is Neil, Hart, and still believe Wilkin just back there in the 3rd place spot.
Guys, it was just 30 minutes ago that Bryson Neil was in the 4th place spot. I was talking about this could be the perfect storm here today. Bryson Neil has made a liar out of me. He shows that anything is possible. He is the perfect storm. There's no doubt about it. Bryson Neil is a force to be reckoned with.
Here is Shadron now in the #4 spot. We believe Wyatt Wilkin already has made his way through this section of pro pits in the #3 spot. Hunter Hart hanging tough, but it's going to get even tougher as the dust gets thicker. Unless that rain starts falling hard enough, that could really shake things up. But right now, Hunter Hart back to being the rocking chair.
Yes.
Now Bryson Neil's the cat.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Just making sure I had my euphemisms correct.
Long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Well, the rocking chair grabbed the tail of Hunter Hart, made the pass, and now out front, looking to be perfect in 2026 through what would be 5 rounds of racing. Bryson Neil has the lead. This one is far from over, still several miles. Lapped riders, challenging race course, dust, and potential rain coming all factors that Bryson Neil still needs to conquer here, and opportunities for Hunter Hart to potentially wrestle that lead back away.
And this is a whole new level of a statement being made for Bryson Neil as well. We've seen multiple different ways, maybe not grabbing the whole shot, maybe not quite getting the start or having some troubles, but man, just like you said 30 minutes ago, outside of the podium, and then it was just like he found an extra gear. Somebody gave him the go sign on the pit board. Bryson Neil just showing that he is so in control of not only himself, but that entire Phoenix ATV Yamaha, and able to make it do things that seems like the rest of the field for the moment still's got to figure out.
Bryson Neil, we see that hydration bottle hanging as he works his way around yet another lap rider. Hunter Hart still in tow and just not too far. Look at this. Wyatt Wilkin now starting to get a little bit closer to that fight in front of him. We had seen he was a little bit further back and now starting to make up some ground. So he's not done yet either. We started talking that this might be a cat versus rocking chair battle. Will now enter the Reaper. Wyatt Wilkin, he may not have been a character on the Dukes of Hazzard, but he is now almost to the rear wheels of Hunter Hart, and he is charging, wanting that second place position. And this is the battle. Oh, man, wow, that was close.
Kick. That was a big hit. That's not the first one that I've seen from Wilkin as well. I'm telling you what, I can't wait to get these post-race interviews, because all of these riders have had more than a couple of moments where we were up out of our seat, and best believe they probably remember it as well.
Yeah, that was a scary moment. Wyatt Wilkin never even lifted, just right back on the gas, right back into the ruts. But that back end kicked, and we know there's so many obstacles just off the edges of the trail here that can be hazardous here in Hazard County. But no hazards in front of this guy right now at the moment. Bryson Neil, he is the hazard. He is marching away. Hunter Hart there in the number 2 spot, and there is the number 5 of Wilkin in third, charging through the blinding dust, trying to make that pass.
Might have been your hazard jump right there. Catch a little bit of air. Wilkin still, Wilkin very Cindy here today. There's been more than a few times where I'm like, I'm so surprised that he stayed on like that.
I've seen that back end step out over the top of the berm at speed many times, but that one was a straight up huckabuck. I mean, that he got kicked into the berm, never lifted, didn't even try to grab brakes, just stayed on the throttle. The bike, you know, straightened itself out, and he was right back to giving chase to Hunter Hart. Commitment.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Wyatt Wilkin is the one in hot pursuit right now as he continues to try to track down Hunter Hart. Man, a hard-fought race here for Hunter Hart as well. In conditions like this, it is no easy feat to go over an hour and 34 minutes. Eating dust, spraying dust, the whole 9 yards here today for Hunter Hart.
Well, now we're really getting close to that section of racetrack where Bryson Neil was able to make the pass. So you got to wonder, is that playing in Hunter Hart's mind as he lost the lead just a lap ago coming through this upcoming section of racetrack? Now with Wyatt Wilkin behind him, you know, that could potentially loom large and present an opportunity for Wilkin, because Hart, not exactly knowing where that line started, if he spends too much energy and too much time kind of looking to make sure he doesn't get passed again, Wyatt might actually be able to make the pass, or Hunter could use that to really open up that gap, because Wyatt didn't see any of that happen, so he's likely just going to be committed to the track that he knows. But Hunter Hart knows in that section where he lost the lead a lap ago, there's 2 lines there back to back that are potential passing opportunities.
No doubt about it. Meanwhile, Wilkin got to think about when he got passed by Neil, could he be using that line? Maybe not knowing exactly where it's at, but saying, hey, there was something happening here where all of a sudden Neil went from seconds back to right on the rear wheel to right past me.
Yep.
We're going to flash back here to the front. Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin going at it in the 2 and 3 spot. Shout out Josh Merritt, still maintaining that top 5 after the 15-second penalty. Brandon Owens, Stephen Harrell, John Glotta Jr., Jared McClure, your top 9 with Dalton Keys hanging on to that final top 10 overall spot at the front of your XC2 class.
Yeah, that gap has opened up just a little bit more over Hunter Hart. Wyatt Wilkin still right there in the number 3 spot. You can see all of the crew have made their way out for all 3 of these riders, cheering them on as we continue to click off mile markers.
Give a big shout out to Adam McGill out there as well, 2-stroking it here this weekend. He had the fans fired up over that one.
Yeah, he sure did. Adam on his farewell season here this year, as we see Shadron now making his way through on Racer TV.
Lapped riders in the mix. Hunter Hart in the number 2 spot. Wyatt Wilkin in 3rd. This is the battle you're watching on screen, folks.
And this was the spot where the pass was made a lap ago. And look at this, Wilkin.
Oh, not quite
he
able.
Figured it out. He wasn't able to take the first half of that line that Neil did, but Man, that's some pretty impressive eyes in the back of your head there for Wilkin to figure out, hey, there had to be something up the inside.
Almost made it work, but again, Hunter Hart had just enough of a gap on him as they went past those lap riders. And you astutely pointing out there, Zach, that it seemed that Bryson really set that up even in the line before by carrying more speed through from the inside. Wilkin was unable to take that part of the line, but picked up on the second part of it, drawing him even with Hart, but not quite able to make the pass. There is the battle for fifth. Josh Merritt did just come through in the number 5 spot, and Brandon Owens just behind him here. More lap riders for Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin as they continue to battle, trying to settle this one with just a few miles of racetrack remaining.
Here we go. It all comes down to this. Bryson Neil, Hunter Hart, and Wyatt Wilkin, 1, 2, and 3. And once again, Hart responds. I mean, Wilkin was right on the rear wheel, and Hunter's been able to put several bike lengths between them. Flash forward to the 6-mile mark. And Bryson Neil closing in on what would be 5 wins in 5 races if he's able to take this checkered flag.
And that would be a huge statement to open up the 2026 season. Not that we didn't expect big things out of Bryson Neil, but you know, he himself pointed out, we talked about it in our pre-race coverage, not the best off-season prep, had to deal with some illnesses, didn't have ideal weather, does not go down south to train like a lot of the riders he's facing, but coming out and just winning right off the clip and seemingly getting stronger every race, which is bad news for the competition. Just a few miles ago, we saw Hunter Hart right on his rear wheels. Now it is Wyatt Wilkin on the charge, trying to get to the rear wheels again of Hunter Hart. But right now, Bryson Neil, barring a mistake or a big charge from Hart and Wilkin, it looks like Bryson Neil is just kind of clicking off mile markers. And what was it he said? Keeping the train rolling.
Exactly. The freight train moves on to the final few miles of the Dukes GNCC. Should be popping back on the screen here.
The bullet train.
The bullet train. Yeah, that's a good one. Maybe that was an early race lock-in we saw. We didn't realize what he was planning, but certainly going to be fun to see. Well, we're getting down to the final few miles. We're going to throw things to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll close out the ATV Pro Race here from the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC. We'll be right back.
Hey race fans! Gear Bicycles is on hand today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it could be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488 for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, everybody, welcome back here to Knott County. And now we have just a second here. I want to give a big shout out to everybody at Knott County for allowing us out here this weekend. Judge Jeff Dobson, First Frontier Appalachian Trails, back roads of Appalachia, I should say, an Appalachian Overland Triangle. And Johnny, we've got a heated battle out here in the hills of Appalachia right now.
Well, obviously a lot of folks coming together to make this race happen this weekend, bringing GNCC racing back to Kentucky for this first edition of the Dukes GNCC. And here it is. They've delivered. There's been an absolute battle right from the rip. Jay Shadron leading so much of this one and then being overtaken by Hunter Hart, getting that lead away, and then Bryson Neil charging through the pack. And there is the rider you see out front. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Neil just kind of chilling back there, just inside the top 5 throughout the early stages of this one, putting on a big charge the last couple laps, able to work his way around Wyatt Wilkin and Hunter Hart taking over the lead and now starting to march away with this one, and just a feverish pace that he is setting, clicking off mile markers and looking to stay perfect in 2026 with 5 wins in 5 rounds.
Yeah, how about that, Johnny? And what looked like it wasn't impossible, but we definitely thought it was going to be a big charge. Bryson Neil having a few things go his way, and he made them go his way, just like he did around that lap rider right there. Yeah, well, you can't take nothing away from Bryson Neil, a ride like he's had today.
No, this has really been a very mature, dominant in a different way. He really let the race kind of sort itself out. Early on, when there was a lot of riders and the dust was very thick, he just kind of maintained, got himself into the top 5, waited, picked his spots, had obviously some great lines and some great pace, putting it together, making all the passes at the exact right time, allowing him to get to the front here on this final lap of racing. And now he is starting to pull just a few seconds. Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkins still very much embattled back there over that second and third place spot, and not out of this race by far. We're talking only just a few seconds behind, but Bryson Neil has done it the hard way, but there's no asterisk on these wins. If he comes through the pack and wins like he did today, it's just the same as taking the whole shot and pulling away with it.
Yeah, no doubt. And we talk about how dusty it is and how risky it is racing in the dust like this, and Bryson Neil able to mitigate those risks and still find his way up to the front of the pack.
Yep, we see a little freeze frame action there, just like in the Dukes of Hazzard. Bryson Neil coming through on that big number 1 Phoenix Racing Yamaha out front and just picking his way through this treacherous racetrack. Tons of rocks, a lot of obstacles, dust, and we had some what we thought was looming weather, and it kind of just blew by, caught the edge of us, so no real rain here so far, which is why you're seeing so much dust kicking up. But right now, Bryson Neil, he doesn't care about the rain. He doesn't care about the dust. He knows it's only about a mile and a half of racetrack between him and the finish line. There we see some crew members out there. There is Jay Shadron. Shout out to him, still in that number 4 spot, just behind Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin in the number 2 and 3 spots. So a solid ride for him, only 14 seconds behind Wyatt Wilkin when they checked in at the white flag.
That shot there of Jay Shadron, you can really see just how many rocks are out here, Johnny, and just how many loose rocks are on the hills coming down some of these very, very steep hills we have here in Kentucky.
There you go. Lots of rocks, lots of obstacles, and Bryson Neil continuing to just smash his way through. You pick through when you can, and you try to find the smooth spots, and sometimes you get there and there's just nowhere to go that isn't already chewed up, and you just pin it right through the middle. Bryson Neil has absolutely picked apart this racetrack here today at Hazard, Kentucky, and done such a phenomenal job of putting what looks to be the finishing touches on his 5th win of 2026.
Johnny, I was talking to some of our youth riders on the podium earlier today, and they were saying, yeah, the rock garden was really hard for me, and I was thinking, that has to be the whole track.
Yeah, between the start and the finish.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, there's definitely some sections where the rock is larger, thicker, and kind of rolls around, but there is rock around this entire section of racetrack. You can see off in the distance from our Yamaha Racing Live drone, that is the pro pits, the finish line, the podium, and both of those places are where Bryson Neil is heading to the finish line and to the podium. This is the final downhill and just 2 chicanes, and Bryson Neil looking to remain perfect here, coming into round 5, doing it from a mid-pack start, charging his way through, making the passes, fighting the dust, fighting his competition. The final corner, and Bryson Neil perfect in 2026 with 5 wins here at the Dukes GNCC in Hazard, Kentucky.
How about that? The Bidwell Bullet gonna get it done at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC. And look at this, Johnny. Wyatt Wilkin gonna make his way across just behind of Hunter Hart. A hard-fought race here for the 318 machine of Hart.
3 seconds, Hunter Hart at the finish, and only another 3 back to Wyatt Wilkin. So we talked about the dust and how it was going to limit visibility. They threw caution to the wind, and they battled right down to the final corners. Bryson Neil taking the win, 3 seconds behind Hunter Hart, and another 3 back to Wyatt Wilkin in that number 4 spot. So 6 seconds separating your podium, and Jay Shadron has checked in the number 4 spot, 5 laps complete, 26 seconds behind. A phenomenal ride for that young man here today in the number 4 place.
Taking a look now at Hunter Hart. Hart able to grab the whole shot here today and finishes with a 2nd place. A great day for him.
There you see Hunter definitely looking a little frustrated. Doesn't look like he's real happy with that 2nd place finish, but when you fight hard and the emotion that you put out on the racetrack sometimes spills out after. You can see his crew trying to console him, tell him it was a good run, but he is definitely not content, which you want to see out of a top contender. You want to see them, fighting for those positions. He absolutely laid it all out on the racetrack today, ran a phenomenal race. Bryson Neil just able to edge him out with that outside line that we saw where he squared him up, shot up the inside, and was able to get to the berm before Hunter Hart and take that line away. That was the move that made all the difference for the win here today.
Sure did, and I'm very interested to hear what Wyatt Wilkin has to say about the day here today. We talked about the controversy, I guess you could say, between Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin. Interested to see what Wyatt thinks. If there was some left out on the track today, if there was some unfinished business, if that's going to carry some fuel into round number 6. Going to be interesting to hear. Our man Zach Herron going to be headed down there. He should be with our winner here in just a couple minutes.
Well, as we wait for Zach to get ready with our winner, Bryson Neil, we talked about that controversy or whatever you want to call it, the little standoff between Wyatt Wilkin and Hunter Hart over the social media post. Again, not between each other, but just kind of Wyatt Wilkin referencing it. What that surrounded was the idea of who could be the first to take down Bryson Neil. Well, you know what? The reality of it is Bryson Neil able to keep that win streak going, so that fight will continue on for at least another 2 weeks.
So it sounds like we're going to get to hear from our 3rd place first here. Well, sounds like Zach Herron should be standing by with Wyatt Wilkin.
All right, guys, I love to hear it. Wyatt Wilkin just asking, how was the Racer TV coverage? I love to go back and watch it. Well, man, you got a show to watch. You guys put on one heck of a performance for us. 3rd place here today, man, but just talk us through kind of the emotions and mentality coming into the weekend and what you feel about that performance, because like I said, it was fun to watch on Racer TV.
Yeah, man, that was badass. I'm not going to lie. Coming into this race, I had high hopes that we show up here and the track was completely different than I expected, and kind of was a bummer, I'm not going to lie. And I was like, all right, well, everybody else is racing this track, so let's make the best of it. And there on the start, we knew it was going to be key. Like, it was so dusty and so fast, so rocky. If you were at the back, it was going to be really hard. And me, Steven, and B. Neil, we all jumped at the same time, and none of us wanted to lift. I was like, dude, I'll flip before I lift. I'm getting to that corner. Well, they pinched me, and Steven and me came together, and both of us dove on the front end. And I was like, well, none of us lifted. All of our balls were hanging a little big. They were like, yeah, we want that thing. But, yeah, then B. Neil, I don't know if he got in a JM or something. He spun out, and I was like, okay, like, we're up front. I think I was like top 5. I was like, let's just ride smart. This is where I wanted. And, yeah, from there, just, dude, the amount of times I went off the track and hit a tree and went flying over a berm, smashed a rock, I was like, dude, it was insane. We were just pushing the pace so hard. It was because it was so fast. And, yeah, Hunter was out front, and I was just trying to catch him. And it was just like a yo-yo. Every time I'd come up to him, we'd get in a dusty section, you'd pull away, or we'd get a lapper in between us. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. It would have been cool to have some good dirt, just really, really wheel to wheel. But, no, it was a lot of fun. And then my girlfriend, my dad gave me a pit board that B. Neil was coming. It was like a corner later. He was already there. It was too late. I was like, oh, he's here. And we came up here, a couple lappers got together, and I was on the outside and kind of got pushed with him. Well, then that jumbled me up for the next couple corners. Sure enough, he had a sick line, pulled through all these tall weeds and just blazed by me. And then I was like, all right, we'll just latch onto the back of him, and hopefully we can catch up to Hunter. And rode with him for the majority of that lap. We got into this back half, and it got really dusty. And they just got, like, just enough where I was getting dusted out. So I rode there by myself, and No, the last lap I was just grinding, just trying to reel Hunter in, just do everything I can without getting hurt or hurt the bike. And I'm sorry, Matt, the bike's hurt. I know the brakes are gone. It's freaking clinking and clacking over everything. So no, it was a good day.
We saw a couple of those close calls, and Johnny and I even talked about the sendiness of Wyatt Wilkin today was something impressive.
Yeah, I was just laying it all out. I was like, you know what, screw it. We made a joke earlier, like how we were all talking last night, me, John Gauda Jr., and Kenny Schick. We actually added Big Dog in as well because he's not scared to go fast, and we're just like, tomorrow let's die. Let's just go as fast as we possibly can, try to take down B. Neil. And dude, I wasn't even meaning to actually do it. I was just flying over corners, and I was like, all right, we got to turn this back, but it was sick.
It was fun to watch for sure. Wyatt Wilkin taking the risks and turning it into an XC1 podium.
A classic interview there from Wyatt Wilkin.
Never
Johnny.
short of sound bites with Wyatt Wilkin, but it just shows his passion not only for winning but for the sport. I mean, he's talking about having those fun conversations the night before the race and saying, let's just go out there and do whatever it takes, forget the consequences. Well, we saw that out of Wyatt Wilkin today. He was absolutely sending it, rewarded with a podium finish. Obviously would have loved to have been further up, but in the mix all day long, and a great ride from Wyatt Wilkin. We believe our man Zach Herron is wrangling our next interview, whether it be Hunter Hart or Bryson Neil, the two other riders on the podium, but a great battle here today, Jackson. A great one for the fans, and it sounds like our man Zach Herron is down there with Hunter Hart, our second-place finisher today.
All right, thanks, guys. Down here with Hunter. All Hart, as we've been calling him, Hunter, and it was all Hart here today. What a performance. Take us through the Dukes, man. We're not going to pan down to the front bumper, but we did talk about it on Race TV. Eagle Eye Johnny Gallagher spotted it. Take us through what happened and what it took to get this podium here today.
Dude, great start. Max's tires were digging off that start. My buddy Jay Shad, he ripped the whole shot, and I was like, damn, he's going to be able to roll today. And I just had to put my head down. Just made smart moves, got around Jared early into the second lap. Then I just knew I had to set my sights on Jay. Got him, and then I was in the lead. Right before I caught Jay, though, I ended up just in the fields over here, was rolling, caught a rock rolling, and it just kicked me up. Hit one of those big bushes so hard I hit it, and it bounced me actually back. I was able to just keep rolling on from there. Then got to the lead, and I was like, all right, we got to just go. And it was good. I was actually worried my key was gonna fall off because the fenders were flapping so bad. But no, luckily it held on there. And then just from there, we just kind of had to just keep hitting our marks. Track was fast. Like you couldn't afford to giving him an inch out there. And we were putting in some good laps. Close to anyone's been all year to Bryson. It's good. I think it's a testament to the progress we're making. We're putting in some serious work behind the scenes. Axis shocks have been working well. That's been a phenomenal change we've made recently. My trainer Zacho and I we've been digging these last few weeks down in Florida. Kudos to him. I know he was watching on live timing and scoring. And I mean, it's coming together. Bryson's, he's fast, I need just a little bit more in a couple sections, but it's doable. I was losing time on the first half of the track. Then the second half, we actually closed back in on him. I was like, we're still in this fight. And just had to continue to just dig and dig and dig. And I feel good. Like my hands are good. I feel good. And I'm excited for the progress we're making. I mean, it takes a lot to go into this and to consistently be in this position. And I mean, it doesn't go unnoticed. The team behind me, they absolutely crush it. It's a joy to race, Bryson. The laps were clicking off, and it's good. It's good to be here. And thank you to GNCC for letting us race and continuing to have this progress. And my team, you guys are awesome. And that's never how you want your bike to look at the end. But hey, we'll take it. Second, rolling into Tennessee, we're gonna go. Hopefully, we'll just close that extra 6 seconds we need. But no, good day. I'm happy with that.
No doubt about it. A happy Hunter Hart here, second place in your XC1 class. We like to see him smiling up here after the race.
Well, good news. If you're Hunter Hart, it's only 3.6 seconds. That's all he needs to close to get to the back wheels and potentially battle for that win, which he did throughout so much of the race here today. You can see that damage we scoped out on Racer TV earlier. He talked about that front plastic bouncing around. The key mounts up in the middle there, just above his number plate, and he was concerned that may pop out due to the you can see he's showing us there. There's the key. He was worried it was going to pop that out, but it held together, got to the finish line for a strong second-place performance, and what a race here today, Jackson.
What a race, especially from Hunter Hart there. Sounds like a happy, a healthy, and a confident Hunter Hart.
Believe our man. There we go. We've got our today's winner, Bryson Neil, ready with Zach Herron down at the finish line.
Well, guys, starting the interview off on a bit of a sore foot. Bryson Neil, unfortunately, not having his cookie maker here with him this weekend, so we're putting an ad out where we're looking for a new full-time baker, but at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to pay pretty good if you keep racking these wins off, man. You had us on our toes, not quite the performance that we've seen so far this season, but, man, it was like lap 3 or 4, you got the go sign, and you just picked it up. Take us through the race, how you were feeling, and whether you changed anything about yourself to pick those lap times up and be able to track this thing down.
Yeah, man, sum it up, this race was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Everyone was gunning off the start, man. We ping-ponged like crazy. I got squished between Wyatt and Josh, and they both closed in on me. I stayed in it, and I felt like I was just about to pop, just pop up between their tires. They squeezed me. The whole first corners, 2, 3, 4, all the way down the field section to the first woods. We was just all everywhere, just grabbing every piece of real estate we could, fighting for every piece of real estate because it's survival. And I think I went to the woods 6th. I was able to get past John Gletta, make a little sneaky pass on him. I was able to pass Josh in the dust on a straight stretch, just hung out a little bit longer. And then from there, man, I rode top 5 for, I think, 2 laps, 3 maybe. It was just sketchy, super sketchy, trying to learn the track. There were so many little, big old, like, basketball, little mini rocks. It was just the right size. You'd be getting a really good groove, feeling the flow, and then you'd hit a couple of them, and they just kind of discombobulate you, shake the bike around, and just kind of made you not feel confident. But whenever we got close to the pit, I pitted, alternate pit, and then I got a pit board saying the top 3 didn't pit, and I was like, okay, well, I can get 1 position in the pit. And whenever we got Jay Shatter and came around the corner, both Wyatt and Hunter was right there, and it was just like, it switched on. And I was like, I can win this race. And I felt like I had the pace. Even though I was 3rd, I was eating all that dust. I felt really, really good. I was riding the edge, feeling great. I was able to get by Wyatt in some chaos and some lap riders, and I was able to just hold it on a little bit longer and just barely edge him out. Then Hunter right before the pro row, man, I had a really good pass on him. Squared him up, shot out in the dust, squared up the inside of the hill and shot up on the inside, and from there, man, it was great just to be able to have fresh track for the first time. Just try to count down the mile markers and bring this thing in safe. It was a brutal track, like I said, super, super rough. I want to give a shout out to Jay Goebel, man. We made a shock change for this race. Jay's bike was awesome, by Elko Shocks, tuned by Impact Solutions. Dad's engine was kicking. Ken, the tires were awesome out there, phenomenal. This Phoenix ATV Yamaha is feeling good. So this one feels dang good, man. I can't lie. I'm proud of this one. This is a dang good win.
No doubt about it. You had to work for it. We got to talk about those 2 passes on Wyatt and on Hunter. We got great shots of them on Racer TV. Was those lines that you had picked out, was it something that you saw maybe working your way through the pack? Because we didn't see it coming, especially that one on Wyatt. And, man, it was like you went from maybe 2 to 3 seconds back to you're right on his rear wheel to all of a sudden you're in front of him. Were those ones you had spotted out before, or was it just kind of spur of the moment?
I spotted whenever Wyatt, you could probably see the first line that I took got me close to him, but the second line, it was just spur of the moment. I knew the first one was there because you could just see how the race developed. You could just see through the trees. It was pretty clear, and I saw 1 or 2 bikes go through there, it looked like, and I just went real slow through there on lap 2, lap 3, and then by the lap 4, lap 5, I was just wide open, and then the last lap, where I was actually past Wyatt, it was just spur of the moment. Between those 2 pine trees, I ran over that big old yellow tall bush and some other brush. I had briars hanging off of me, and I just went for it. And it feels really good still being able to just, turn the brain off and just go for it.
Sometimes Bryson Neil will risk it for the biscuit, right?
We'll still get it. We'll still get after it, still do it. It's just spur of the moment, and it was awesome because that was a big pass. Because if I wouldn't have got by Wyatt right there, I don't think I would have won the race. So that set me up because I was able to get up on Hunter, and I had a little bit more pace than him. I was really riding the edge. I was really feeling good coming off the momentum pass from Wyatt. And I had that inside line picked out on Hunter. I didn't know if he knew it or not. And, man, coming up to it, as soon as I was out in that field, I was right on him as tight as I could get, swung out a little bit wide, and as soon as we was going to the corner, I knew he was going to the outside. It was just like, I just mental switch, like, I got it. Hit it wide open, had the inside, shut him down, and came out in the first place. Man, it was phenomenal. So make two passes like that quick, and late in the race, and to win it in that fashion, this one means a lot. This one feels badass.
It was fun to watch. Keeping it creative and managing the risk makes it 5 for 5 in 2026.
Well, there you go, Jackson. 5 for 5 in 2026, and he said it right there. This one means a lot. You could tell by that interview, a lot of enthusiasm, a very long interview for Bryson Neil. Normally he's a man of fewer words. Thanks to the sponsors, got the job done, but, man, he was pumped on this one today for sure.
He sure was, and Johnny, we talk about pit strategy a lot. Sometimes it doesn't pay off. Today it paid off for the big number 1 machine.
Well, there you have it. Bryson Neil wheeling his way out for opening intros, and then it was an absolute melee going into the first turn. You can see there, Wyatt Wilkin talked about how he got hooked up with Stephen Harrell, but the benefactor of all that, Jay Shadron, out front early, the headlights blazing, and blazing speed from him, opening up a 33-second gap on lap number 1. Jared McClure riding very solid in the number 2 spot early on after a great start. Shadron was just making dust, picking his way through this brand new race course, doing a phenomenal job, just hitting all the lines perfect, carrying his speed, and led throughout so much of the early stages of this one. And this shows you just how dusty it was. I mean, you see the bright helmet of Adam McGill going through there on the 2-stroke today, racing the 250R. But Bryson Neil back in about that 5th place spot, starting to stir early on. And then here was the battle. Hunter Hart and Wyatt Wilkin hooking up, pushing their way, ultimately getting around Jay Shadron. They were running in the number 1 and 2 spots. And you can see this is where lap riders really started to come into the mix. And then it was the fuel stops, Jackson.
Yep, and this is where we started seeing things change. We didn't know it right then at the time, but that would be something that we figured out later. You can see Hunter Hart coming through a little bit banged up there, having a little bit of trouble with the machine, but nonetheless able to get it to the finish line. And Johnny, this is where things start changing around for Bryson Neil.
This line from Bryson Neil saying he had it picked out. Wyatt Wilkin even giving him props on it. Tall weeds, he just sent it through there, made the pass up into the number 2 spot, and very quickly set sail to try to track down the 318 of Hunter Hart, who was leading at that time. Hunter Hart still out front, but the Bidwell Bullet was behind, stalking, trying to catch the tail of Hunter Hart, and he was pushing. When we saw the white flag waving, we knew the race was on. Bryson Neil in full charge mode, but Hunter Hart was absolutely nailing all the lines, had a great pace. Bryson Neil got close a few times, but not quite able to make it happen until right here. Swings wide, sets him up, closes the door. Even Hunter Hart saying, man, it was a great move from B. Neil. He's so much fun racing, and these two put on an absolute battle with Wyatt Wilkin, Jay Shadron, and so many others in the mix. But when the checkered flag flew, it was Bryson Neil taking his 5th win of 2026 in 5 races. Perfect on the season so far.
Ultimately, it was Bryson Neil. That's about all I know to say here today, Johnny.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, you know, we talk about, we'll get to our final thoughts here in a moment, but the final thought on today is, wow, the action. I mean, we saw so many passes, tough conditions, but these 3 guys up front, along with so many others, put in hero efforts, riding through the dust, rocks, challenging conditions, and just laid it all on the line for these finishes here today. What a great first round here at the Dukes. It was action-packed from start to finish.
No doubt about it, Johnny. Great to return back here to Kentucky. And once again, a big thank you to everybody at Knott County that made this happen. Our top 10 overall here today, it was Neil, Hart, and Wilkin, your top 3. Then it was Jay Shadron 4th, Josh Merritt 5th, Brandon Owens in the 6th place, Stephen Harrell in 7th, John Glauder Jr. 8th, Jared McClure 9th, and then Dalton Keys going to round out the top 10 overall.
And rounding out the top 10 overall, winning that XC2 Pro-Am class.
Sir.
So a great ride out of that young man out of Indiana. I believe his first XC2 win of the year and potentially the first of his career, if I'm not mistaken. We can confirm that later, but nonetheless, a great ride for him. Jackson, you know, we saw so much great racing action here today, so much to talk about. Let's do the final thoughts. What is your takeaway after 2 hours of absolute battle?
My big takeaway today is going to be that Bryson Neil isn't perfect. He can have a rough start to a race, but the boys, I think that they have what they need to be able to pull off a win, whether it be Wyatt Wilkin or Hunter Hart. I think that they have it in the tank to get that done, but my ultimate takeaway is Bryson Neil still has it.
I think my takeaway from today is intensity, and it pertains to all the riders up front. We saw Jay Shadron with so much intensity early, leading the way, starting to march away. Then we saw the intensity from Wyatt Wilkin coming through the pack, Bryson Neil coming through the pack, Hunter Hart making those quick, decisive passes to get to the front. The intensity at the front of the XC1 pack on ATV day is the highest that I have ever seen it, and it's making for exciting racing action, and I couldn't be happier to see it.
Things were sure exciting here today. I know Wyatt's saying insane. I think that's a good word to use, especially with Wyatt Wilkins. Wyatt Wilkins riding here today, man, they really
threw it all out there. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. It was great racing action here, and we're far from done with the racing action this weekend. We've got quite a bit more to go and more coming up for you on Racer TV. We'll bring you all of the live racing action here tomorrow at 12:30, our pro bike race from the Dukes. And then moving on, we have a J-Day on April 26th from the CGI facility. Great racing action there. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll be in Monterey, Tennessee for the Old Gray GNCC on May 2nd and May 3rd. We'll bring you all the action here on Racer TV Live.
And plenty more than just that. Make sure to check us out, racertv.com. And of course, we have some thank yous to give out. On behalf of our executive producer, Carrie Russell, our producer, OPAG, Adam Gordon, our director, Don Hampton, our replay artist, Cameron Cotter, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, second engineer, Jack Renner, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, our official spotter, David Hollywood Kripe. Our camera operators, Jack Renner, Mike Nichols, Matt Gabriel, Adam Atkins, Josh Hefner, Adam Arndt, Dave Kelsch, Dylan Adkins, and our drone pilot doing a great job today, Gabe Scholl. On behalf of Zach Heron, Johnny Gallagher, my name is Jackson Burrell, and we'll see you right here tomorrow on Racer TV.